Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 506. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Matt.
Hey, what is cracking?
This is a DC Comics podcast. We get together and we talk about the books we read this week. Coming up on today's show, we have Absolute Batman issue 20, Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 11, Action Comics 1098, Barbara Gordon Breakout issue 1, Green Lantern Corps issue 16, Supergirl issue 13, The Fury of Firestorm issue 2, and our Patreon vote winner for the month was issue 1 of Zatanna from a couple of weeks ago. So we'll be rounding out the show with that.
I was saying, by the way, did you say Supergirl?
I did.
Okay. I didn't catch it because I heard Firestorm, and then my brain started wandering.
Well, I said Supergirl before that, but
okay. Well, there we go. Okay, good. Because I was gonna say I did read Supergirl, in case you didn't.
Yeah. For people watching the video version, Matt's video feed was like going at 1 frame per minute, so we've just turned his camera off to make sure everything else goes smoothly. So apologies for that. Audio listeners will notice no difference.
Oh man, I don't even need to be wearing a shirt right now, so no one can see me.
I mean, if you want to, start stripping, Matt, I mean, I'm going to stop you.
It's warm. It's already 88 degrees right now in May. So air conditioning's working hard. So it gets a little warm in here.
So how's your week been, Matt? Is it hot, I guess?
Yeah, it's been hot. It's not too bad. It's this weird thing, right, where I don't tolerate the cold very well. Being born and raised out here. So when it starts to heat up a little bit and it's in like the low 90s, it kind of feels good, which I know is weird to hear. But once you cross like the high 90s, that's when it starts to get miserable. Today wasn't too bad in the shade, but the mid 80s in the sun, not as good. But yeah, no, a lot of hockey playoffs this week. So not a lot of movies watched, not a lot of comics and regular book read. So I'm trying to get less screen time, right? Of course, when it comes to comics, which reading digitally. So I've swapped my phone for an actual novel, and I was doing good until the comics dropped, and then that took the predominant time. Anytime there's a lull, I can just grab the old iPad. But yeah. So the book I'm reading is called I Was a Teenage Slasher, and it's kind of a meta commentary on the 80s slasher genre, told by an unreliable narrator, and it's just, I'm like 120 pages in, and it's pretty wild. So, that's been my week.
Yeah, the only movie on your letterbox for this week is something called Summer Catch. What?
So Summer Catch is a kind of bad baseball movie. I say kind of bad because I have a lot of love for it. It's a very flawed movie, but it came out in the early 2000s, and like the glut of sports movies. And it's Freddie Prinze Jr. in this minor league, on this minor league team, that in his hometown, and he's been cutting the grass for Jessica Biel's family since he was like an early teenager. And of course, those two hit it off, and he, struggles with trying to maintain those relationship in baseball. You would love it, Pete. It is exactly your kind of movie.
Really?
Yeah. I say that facetiously. You can't see my face right now.
Okay, all right. I don't know. It doesn't seem like you've wrote your review on Letterboxd 2.5 star banger, which is not a sentence I think anyone has ever said before.
It is a very flawed movie, but I can't help but love it. Actually, the side characters are far more interesting than Freddie Prinze Jr. or Jessica Biel. Yeah, Brittany Murphy as like the local, I don't want to call her a trollop, but she's made her way through the baseball team. Everyone knows her, and she's great. He has two buddies that are they sit out in the outfield and heckle the other teams. They're really funny. There's this little girl, Jessica Biel's little sister, is trying to find an actual mascot because of the Chatham A's. So she dresses up in different costumes, trying to find what the spirit of the town is. And she's pretty entertaining. But yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr. has a terrible throwing motion, and you can always tell when it's not him when they need him to actual pitch. So that's always fun to watch. And Matthew Lillard's great. Also, Lillard's in it. It's one of the, when he was only making movies with Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah, how many movies did he do with Freddie Prinze? Like Wing Commander, Scooby Doo.
She's All That. This one
was Matthew Lillard and She's All That. I don't remember that.
Yeah, he's the other guy that his girlfriend breaks up with to go be with. That she met at MTV Spring Break. And again, just like in She's All That, Lillard's weirdly the best part. So he shows up in this and he makes the most out of a character that's not much. He's his catcher. So there's a lot of interplay between the two of them. But yeah, no, Lillard's a national treasure. That dude, I've never not liked him in a movie.
Never. Okay.
I'm trying to think. You give me a Matthew Lillard performance, and like Hackers. Hackers is not a good movie, but I like Matthew Lillard in it.
He's definitely been annoying in a movie. I'm just trying to think of what movie, but regardless, yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jessica Biel. I mean, what a time capsule of like 1998 to 2003 that is.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I like Freddie enough. I like him more as a character than as an actor. Because going back, I was watching his movies as I grew up, and even then I was kind of like, he's okay. Now that I've had enough life, he's always the weakest link.
I would be fascinated to know if you asked 100 Zoomers who Freddie Prinze Jr. or Jessica Biel were, how many of them would know? Because I feel like they just disappeared off the face of the earth after a certain point. And don't get me wrong, some people watch older movies and it's not like they're that old relative to a Zoomer, but I'm just saying they just stopped being in things at a certain point.
Yeah, so like my brother's at that cusp because my brother's 32, right? So he was born in the mid-90s, but he grew up watching that Scooby-Doo. So I wonder if there's any kids that are younger than him that also grew up watching that Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah, I'm thinking like a 20-year-old right now. Do they know who Jessica Biel is? Yeah,
that one's tougher. Because she hasn't been in like things that have staying power. Because we all knew her from Seventh Heaven, like me and my wife, and then she went over to movies, and I can't tell you some of the movies she's been in.
Don't include me in that we. I knew her from the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Well, again, I've never seen an episode of Seventh Heaven, but I knew from watching, shows on the WB and then the CW, I was aware of it, and I knew she was in it. But. Yeah, what other movies? Like outside of the Total Recall remake, she doesn't.
Well, I've not seen
me as
that.
A movie actress,
but she was in Blade Trinity, apparently.
That's right.
She was in The Illusionist, which is a very mediocre movie.
Yeah. Also known as Not the Prestige.
Not the Prestige, quite right. Yeah, honestly, I'm looking at her complete list of movies here, and it's not an impressive or memorable looking batch of movies. It has to be said. Yeah, she was in Cellular. She had a small part in Cellular.
Okay.
But I mean,
the Chris Evans vehicle.
Yes, the Chris Evans mobile phone save the day movie. But she's just like the ex-girlfriend you see at the start and the end, who's just kind of like the Chris Evans is trying to get over, kind of thing. All right, well, that was a fascinating trip down Summer Catch. Mm-hmm. I've learned so much.
So I'm looking at Matthew Lillard's filmography, and he was in Five Nights at Freddy's, which I haven't seen. But given what I've heard about them, that might be the time I don't like Matthew Lillard.
Well, that movie just sucks on every conceivable level. It's just not good.
Given all that. But yeah, I was just looking at his filmography and everything that I've seen him in. I'm like, he was good. The Descendants with George Clooney. Big fan of that movie. He's good in his small part. So, yeah.
Okay. Actually, I watched something relative to DC this week, believe it or not.
What would you watch? You watch it animated?
No, I watched Blue Beetle.
Oh, okay. And what'd you think?
It's fine. Like it's
right? It's when it came out.
Don't agree with me. You give it an 8 out of 10. You don't get to agree and say that you don't. I said it's fine.
Yeah, it's fun and it's fine. I went in expecting the worst. Now, granted, the cord girl, I forget her character's name in that, easily weak link. But I think Zolo
Oh,
is
as
pretty
in
good as Jaime.
as in Ted Card's daughter. You said Card
Yes.
Girl, and I'm like, Card?
Girl.
Who used cards? I don't remember anyone using
Yes.
cards.
No,
What does he
no.
mean by card? And I'm like, as in
Yes.
family name Card.
Yes. What was her name? And she was Brazilian.
Oh, I don't remember what her first name was. She was the Card daughter.
Yes. I thought Susan Sarandon was pretty okay. Zolo, I got to go back and watch it now that I've seen all of Cobra Kai to see, because I hadn't watched Cobra Kai when I had watched Blue Beetle.
I thought Sarandon was a weak link, not because she's a bad actor. She's obviously a perfectly fine actor, but like just the villain was very generic. Honestly, like the most unique thing about it is the fact that his family's kind of in on it the whole time, and that plus obviously the more the Latino side of everything, where it's got a bit more culture. But everything else, it was kind of like just like, oh, it's another superhero origin movie. And I think, even though it's not one we've seen before in a movie, and it's not even one that I know that much about, I still kind of found myself just being like, okay, this is when he first has the suit on, and he's talking to the voice. It's kind of, it's a little Iron Man, it's a little Green Lantern with the way that the thing's making weapons on his hands and stuff. It's like, I can respect what this is doing to a point, and I like it for the things that make it unique, but all of the things that aren't unique are like the same old shit that I've seen in 50 other movies. So it's kind of it's just fine. It's like a 6 out of 10. It's perfectly reasonable, but nothing that's going to shake your
Did you
world.
see Black Adam?
No.
So when you compare it to something like Black Adam, which came out around roughly the same time frame, and it seems so much better, because even you're talking about the flaws and all that type of stuff, but the Black Adam movie it's all tropes. It's like, oops, all tropes. And then there's a good performance by the Justice Society. Like, each of those actors came to work. But the whole rest of it just bogged down by Dwayne. Dwayne.
Selling it to me as, it's better than the Black Adam movie isn't doing much for me here. I'm
just saying.
It's like, I didn't watch any of the DC movies from those couple of years when all that stuff was coming out. But, hey,
Don't watch Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods.
I wasn't planning on it.
If you thought Blue Beetle was tropey as all hell, that one, hooey.
I mean, I didn't even say tropey. It's just, it's going through the motions. It's the same old thing.
Yeah. And like you said, it's hitting all the same origin type stuff. So it's like a phase one. It's like calling a movie a superhero movie a phase one. Makes a lot of sense to people.
It's also too long. There's definitely a point where it was ready to finish, and it went on for like another half hour. Yeah. So I think that's also an issue that I'd throw at it. But I don't want to be negative though, because it was perfectly fine. The family were kind of fun side characters. There was reasonable things going on in it. But it never overcame the fact that I'm watching just like what feels like a typical superhero origin story, when there's just so many of those at this point that I'm like, I don't know what you have to do to make it feel special at this point. But
it's the one property from before Gunn that Gunn has talked positively about, which is good. And like, he wants to work with Zolo, the actor that played Jaime. So, that's always a good sign.
Yeah, he said that back in like 2023, but I mean, I don't know if there's been a single whiff of any Blue Beetle stuff since then. No. So, I don't know. It feels like the world's forgotten about it. I to be honest, I forgot it existed even until someone picked it for a watch on stream, and I was like, oh yeah, that existed. I guess we'll watch that. Yeah. And it's fine. It's perfectly fine and, reasonably well done. Made me chuckle a few times, but, but it's just okay. It's just okay.
You haven't opened yourself up for having to watch The Flash, have you?
No, that's going to take, I'm going to have to be directly paid money to watch that movie.
Gotcha.
Right, so it may happen someday, but I am going to be financially beneficial when that happens.
When it does happen, let me know, because I want to watch the stream. I'll pay money to watch you watch The Flash, because I don't want to watch The Flash, but I will watch your reaction with popcorn.
I'm sure. So yeah, I mean, I guess that was the DC related thing I did this week. But I mean, it was my birthday this week, so
yes, it was. Happy belated, sir.
Thank you. Yes, I'm just turning to dust and bones and crumbling before your very eyes. So that's happening. I'm so old, Matt. Well, I'm not as old as you, but I'm still so old.
Look, man, I go out on Saturdays and play with a bunch of 20-year-olds. Like, I have shoes that are older than some of the guys I'm playing with. All right. And it keeps me lively. So I like to think that your presence on the internet keeps you lively as well.
I've never had a pair of shoes last more than 2 years, so I don't know how you've got shoes that are 20 years old.
Because there's certain shoes I only wear on certain occasions, right?
Okay.
And they still fit, you know?
Yeah, I guess I don't really have that. I have like 2 pairs of shoes that I'm constantly wearing, so they always get worn out after about a year if I'm lucky.
Oh yeah, no, I go through work shoes, like, because I'm on my feet all day at my job. I go through work shoes like sometimes every 4 months. So we're talking sometimes 3 sets a year with those.
Do you know, I went through shoes a bit quickly, like especially once I started going for walks to try and just be a little healthier. And I thought, you know what, I've went through this last pair or 2 of shoes so quick, I'm going to spend, because normally I just get cheap shoes, but because they're wearing out so quick, I'm going to spend more money. I'm going to spend like £70-80, so $100 or so on a pair of shoes, with the assumption that they would last longer, and they lasted the exact same amount of time as the cheap shoes. So I'm like, oh well, I'm just going to keep buying cheap shoes then, if they're just going to last that long anyway. Yeah,
because it's not like you're out there having to do, like, you're not using training shoes. You just need a good pair of walking sneakers, you know. You don't need to spend that. For my work shoes, I never spend over $50 because I know I'm going to be going through them, you know. So I can get a good pair for $50 of Nikes or Adidas. Like, my current ones are Adidas right now, and they've so far so good. We're about a month and a half in, and they're holding up real well. But yeah, it's crazy how I remember shoes lasting longer when I was younger, and I just feel it's a sign of the times. That whole planned obsolescence. They're not making things to last anymore, and that includes shoes.
Yeah, so I was all over the place this week. Watched Blue Beetle. I watched Last Action Hero on one end of the spectrum, which is a fun time. But I also watched The Room, so, you know.
Is that how you treated yourself for your birthday? You went and visited Tommy Wiseau?
No, that was for extra reels the day after my birthday. It's weird to say that it holds up, but depending on obviously, if you're looking for The Room, it holds up. I mean, if you know what you're getting yourself into, then that's one thing. If you don't, then you may be hit with a bit of a shock. But the last time I watched it was right before The Disaster Artist came out, and the copy I could get was on YouTube with Spanish subtitles. And let me tell you, you would think the Spanish subtitles distract if you don't speak Spanish, but they somehow make the viewing experience better. You know. I hope you weren't trying to learn Spanish through translations of Tommy Wiseau.
No. So it was just very fun that you're tearing me apart, Lisa. You know, you get that with the Spanish subtitles on the bottom. It's great.
Because I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't be able to use The Room to teach English to anyone, because he doesn't speak in a way that's actually normal English. He just kind of forms sentences and runs on things. And
I am so upset that I went to a con with Tim years ago, and it was before I was aware of The Room, and Tim went and got like an autograph and a picture with him. Oh. And I'm just kicking myself now that I could have gotten in on that. There was no line. Like, you know.
He's still toured, because we were recording the podcast. David looked it up, and apparently just this very weekend he's in Philadelphia doing a showing of The Room. He just tours with the movie, and people come and they throw their spoons at the screen, and it's a whole thing. People get interactive. It's like a
modern Rocky Horror. Yeah, it's an interactive movie experience.
Yeah, and he does signings and stuff, and that's where he makes his living, is just touring with the movie. Wild.
It's so good. Yeah.
Oh dear. So yeah, there's that. I also had to watch a Resident Evil movie this week, which is much worse experience than The Room. The 5th one, Retribution. So
okay. I can't believe they got up to 5 of those.
We got to 6.
Oh my god, even more.
Yeah, I got another one left.
Did we talk about the new trailer? I don't know if I've talked about this with you.
Not with me. I don't think you have.
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
as a non-Resident Evil fan, right? Like I only played through Resident Evil 2, right? But I'm aware of the lore from being friends with you. It looks very good. It looks very promising.
It looks like a good movie. It looks. It's not adapting the story of the games, but it looks like it's adapting how the games play out. And what I mean by that is, he has a handgun at first, then you see him find a shotgun, then you see him find like a bigger machine gun. He's carrying a med pack at one point. He's trying to get keys for a place. I'm like, yes, this is Resident Evil. all this while surviving zombies and monsters.
Yes.
The only thing that I would say gives me a slight, not concern necessarily, because it's not going to ruin the movie if this is the case, but the bigger things they tease that aren't just zombies don't feel like they're from the games, and they feel kind of tonally a bit different to what I'd expect. Okay. But I mean, that could just be the way they're teasing them, though. Maybe in the movie we'll see some like traditional Resident Evil monsters or whatever. But... Yeah,
I know he said don't expect a lot of zombies because for him, with the way that he thinks about the game and the virus and everything, he wants to see how it would mutate with people, and so that's what he had hinted. So hopefully there's some more familiar things for you. But again, for a layperson like me, watching that trailer and seeing whatever creatures were shaded, I got very excited.
Yeah, there's just some cool creatures that I'd like them to put in that have not been in any of the movies. And admittedly, not that I would even count any of those movies as being good examples of them anyway, but it would be fun to see a couple of the more notable boss fight enemies.
I did watch, after the day the trailer dropped, I did watch a lore video on YouTube to try to get the story going. And brother, I don't know how you've kept everything straight, because that is some wild times. I mean, it's like some Metal Gear Solid level stuff.
Honestly, like, you've got like the original trilogy era, and that stuff's fairly straightforward, and that's the story I like. Everything since then, I just kind of accept the wackiness, but don't necessarily care that much about the story in any serious way, because it just gets too silly.
Well, I got to the point where one of the games is a dream sequence from one of the other games. So it's ongoing in someone's dream while they're involved with the other game. And I'm like, I think it's one of the handheld games, so maybe it's not something.
That's not something. Yeah, that's not like a thing like most of us bother encountering. Okay, that's interesting.
Because the guy in the video was just like, yeah, it's a dream. It's weird. We don't talk about it. And so I did some searching after that. I was like, wow, I'm glad that Krager took that route of, you know what? I'm not adapting the game story. I'm adapting the game into movie form, which I think is smart. I think, more adaptations should play out that, because I've heard that's how they go about Fallout. I still haven't seen season 2, but instead of try to adapt New Vegas, they put the characters in New Vegas in that scenario, which, again, that's smart. That's what people are trying to see. It's its own thing.
I mean, I think that worked for season 1 of Fallout. I kind of dropped out of Fallout season 2. I just kind of, I just didn't feel it. The first episode just felt a bit bland, and I just wasn't feeling it. But I have heard that people who like New Vegas are a little bit more disappointed that they didn't do more New Vegas stuff in season 2. Like, they didn't use the location to its full potential. But I mean, that's like third-hand information here. I'm just
I'll get through it. Ella Purnell calls, so I'll answer at some point.
All right, well, let's get into things, shall we? Starting off with the Kindle rankings, the list formerly known as the ComiXology Top 10, and Matt can try and guess what number 1 is.
All right, so it's absolutely Batman, right?
That is correct. So would you like to try and guess what the second and third DC books are?
So just DC, so we're not going through the other
don't worry if the Marvel are interspliced here.
Yeah. So I'm looking here. I'm gonna guess Barbara Gordon, because it's a number 1. Is at 3, and then number 2 I'm gonna say is Absolute Martian Manhunter.
So you think 2 is Absolute Martian Manhunter, 3 is Barbara Gordon Breakout? You're very close. Swap those two.
Wow, I should have kept it. Yeah.
So, number 1 is Absolute Batman, number 2 is Ultimate Endgame, number 3 is Transformers, 4 is Barbara Gordon Breakout, 5 is Absolute Martian Manhunter, 6 is The Fury of Firestorm, 7 is Uncanny X-Men, 8 is Action Comics, 9 is Captain America, and 10 is Iron Man. So, that's what, 1, 2, 3, 5 out of 10. Yeah, 5
That's
DC, 4 Marvel, and then Transformers. Which is neither of those things. Elsewhere, Green Lantern Corps at number 12, Supergirl's at 15. Was there anything else notable? I guess not. Well, there's nothing in the top 30 anyway, so anything else is just way down the list. So, not bad. I mean, that's good for Barbara Gordon Breakout.
Yeah. I'm very pleased that Tamaki book is in the top. What would you say it was 5?
That was number 4. Number 4 overall.
Number 4. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Like, we're big fans of Tamaki, so seeing other people also.
Yeah, it's also just nice that Babs is getting a little bit of a shine, and that's cool. And Firestorm still being respectable, because since issue 1 was so good, I'm happy to see it still being well done. So,
Sure.
yeah, that's your Kindle rankings. Now we do have some news this week. Before we get into things, no solicits, those should be next week. But a couple things to mention. I'm not really going to say much about this. First thing, I'll just mention that DC revealed a bunch of the AAPI Heritage Month variant covers. So there's some like Zatanna, some Red Arrow, things like that. Oh, sorry, Red Canary, not Red Arrow. Sorry, I'm mixing my.
Red Arrow also would have fit. Emmys also AAPI.
Yeah. But the other more straight comic book news, this is something that'll be in the solicits next week, presumably, is DC's announced a one-shot, which is called the Next Level One-Shot, issue 1. It is Deadshot focused, and apparently is going to lead into a major new storyline. Now, I don't think that means in the in a Deadshot book. I think it just means, like, whatever, like, either event or one of the main next level books that are just maybe going to be popping up in like October or something like that is going to like follow on from it. So it's kind of like maybe not a zero issue, but I'm thinking kind of like, I don't know, like it's tangentially relevant to a new book that's coming out soon after. But anyway.
Well, Deadshot just showed up at the end of Deathstroke, right?
Sorry?
So Deadshot just showed up at the end of Deathstroke that we read?
I think so, or was it the other knockoff? Because it was definitely like blood.
Both of them showed up.
Yeah, okay. So Deathblow, that's the one I'm thinking of, right?
Deathblow.
Yeah.
Yes. Bloodshot's another property. That's another company.
That's right. That's another company. Yeah. Deathblow is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So it seems like they're weird to have Deadshot be the front and center character here.
Yeah, it's a 48-page special from Jerry Duggan is writing, so he's doing more DC work, which is interesting. After that Green Lantern one-shot.
After that comic book, yeah.
Yeah. Fernando Blanco is going to be doing the art, and it's putting Deadshot front and center in a mission tied to the future of the DC Next Level initiative. The issue follows a deadly assassin as a routine job spirals out of control, pulling him into a conspiracy that stretches across the Next Level cast. Along the way, the story explores a father-daughter relationship while setting the stage for a larger conflict building in the background. The one-shot's designed to lay the groundwork for what's coming next, with hints of a looming war that could reshape the line. I think the weird phrase there to me is the Next Level cast. So does that mean it's only specifically the characters who are in quote-unquote next level books?
Next level, yeah.
So what, Batwoman? So this point is,
Batwoman and Zatanna.
Firestorm, I guess?
Firestorm, yeah.
That's a weird set of characters if it's only going to affect them.
Yeah.
So that's strange.
You're done tangential at that point.
Yeah. But, I mean, I assume it's going to, maybe not an event book, but like there's going to be some book that follows up whatever this sets up, obviously. So,
they're teasing some kind of war. So I wonder what that's about.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's going to be like, regular universe versus absolute universe yet. It doesn't feel like it's going to be that. That doesn't feel like we're there. It doesn't feel
crisis level tease here.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it'd be coming from this Deadshot one-shot, if that's the case.
No.
Oh, they should have called it Dead One-Shot.
Dead One-Shot, yeah.
Oh, dear. There's actually a list here lower on the article of all the Next Level books. So we said Deathstroke, Batwoman, Etrigan, Firestorm, Lobo, Legion of Superheroes, technically Barbara Gordon because the Breakout books counted.
That's correct.
Yeah. Deadman, Jonah Hex, Zatanna, the Teen Titans, and Doom Patrol. So some of them haven't launched it yet, obviously. I feel like that Next Level cast thing is just kind of a weird phrase. I would be highly surprised if it is just that set of characters, because it's such a weird pool of characters that don't really fit together.
Well, just seeing how it all fits in together like that, I could see Batwoman being involved. However, Barbara Gordon plays out, because we'll talk about that book today. Deathstroke, we already got Deadshot popping up in there. Firestorm, there's weird things going on there that we're still unsure of. So I can see this tying things together a little bit more cohesively. But again, calling it a cast when it's an initiative is a weird thing.
Yeah, like Lobo and Jonah Hex. I mean, that feels like a weird pair to include if that's what's all going to come together. But hey, so that is that. That is the Deadshot one-shots out in August. And then the other thing, news-wise, is just that the Eisner Award nominations get put out this week.
Yeah.
So I won't mention every category because they're not all relevant to DC per se, but I'll mention some of the highlights here. For Best One-Shot or Single Issue, DC nominees include Absolute Batman Annual Issue 1, as well as Absolute Martian Manhunter Issue 1. So that's not a one-shot, obviously, but yeah. So, and I think that there's no Marvel here. I think the other ones are all, because it's Assorted Crisis Events, which is also Deniz Camp, Coin Up number 10, Ice Cream Man 43, and Something is Killing the Children, A Monster Walks into a Bar Issue 1 are the other nominees for single issues. Best Continuing Series, Absolute Batman's nominated, Absolute Wonder Woman's nominated. And then, there is one Marvel book, Storm's been nominated, along with Image book, The Department of Truth, and the Power Fantasy, also Image, and then FML, which is Dark Horse. That's a Kelly Sue DeConnick book. Limited series, we've got Absolute Martian Manhunter nominated for that. And then the other books are all your various indies and whatnot. You got Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Bronze Faces, Crownsville, Everything Dead and Dying, and Out of Alcatraz are the other nominees for that. For Best New Series, Batman's been nominated, which is a bit cheating, I think.
It's so funny because there's always been a Batman book since like 1942. Like,
yeah, I think 1941 even. So like, you know, but no, it's Batman Volume 4 is a new series, so that counts for this.
And you know what? Deserved. It's the most fun I've had with Batman in a very long time.
Yeah, and that's that for DC in there, but there's one Marvel book, which is Black Cat, and then we got Assorted Crisis Events, again, Exquisite Corpses, which is a James Tynion Ford book, and Ghost Pepper, and then also Temporal by Stephanie Williams. So then just scrolling down, because this is a lot of, kids books, anthology books, US reprint of international material and all that stuff. But if I want to get out of the writers and artist awards, because that's the last ones I think we would be interested in. Best writer, the nominees are Deniz Camp for Absolute Martian Manhunter, Assorted Crisis Events, and The Ultimates. Scott Snyder for Absolute Batman, Batman Deadpool, Buy a Thread Book 2, and You Won't Feel a Thing. We got Mariko Tamaki for This Place Kills Me. So that's cool. Obviously, I don't know what that book is, but I like Tamaki, so cool. Kelly Thompson for Absolute Wonder Woman, Birds of Prey, and Jeff the Land Shark. James Tynion IV for, Jesus Christ, he's done a lot of books this past year.
Just not at DC.
Something is Killing the Children, Wind the Power of Blood, Let This One Be a Devil, Red Book, The City Beneath Her Feet, The Department of Truth, Exquisite Corpses, World Tree, Universal Monsters, The Invisible Man. So, big list of books from it. And then Stephanie Williams is the last nominee for Street Sharks, Roots of Madness, and Temporal, or just Temporal, sorry. I said that as if there was going to be a second word. Best writer actually, I'll do that one last. Best artist, just on its own. We have Elsa Charretier for The City Beneath Her Feet, Sean Phillips for Giant Sized Criminal, The Knives, a Criminal book, Javier Rodriguez for Absolute Martian Manhunter, Chris Samney for Batman and Robin Year 1, Hayden Sherman for Absolute Wonder Woman and Batman Dark Patterns, and Eric Zavadsky for Assorted Crisis Events. So that's best artist, so a good number of DC related artists in there. And then for best writer artist combo, as in someone who's doing both, we have Junie Ba for The Boy Wonder, The Fable of Erking Woods, and Monkey Meets Summer Batch. Monkey Meets Summer Batch, what a title. Jamal Campbell for Zatanna. Again, that's the previous Zatanna book.
Yes, not the one that we're going to discuss today.
Jesse Lunegran for Drome. Chang Sheng Yan for Yan Volumes 1 to 2. Linnea Stretti for A Garden of Spheres, and Kazumi Yamashita for Land Volume 1. So I'm not surprised that I don't know most of the ones that are doing both, just because for DC and Marvel, it tends to be, a writer and an artist. Sometimes several artists.
We don't get that much anymore. Yeah. Junie Ba was the last time I remember we've covered something where they're doing both.
Well, no, I mean, Supergirl is often the same as past series.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah.
Sophie Campbell.
But not in every issue, but a lot of the issues have been.
About of them, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So
it's just funny to me that the writer and then with the artist, I feel absolutely vindicated by the Absolute Wonder Woman team. Right? Go back and watch our end of the year stuff. I know I was high on both of them. So seeing them pop up on the Eisners makes me feel, again, vindicated.
Yeah, no, for sure. Obviously, there's some other stuff here that is somewhat relevant. There's best cover artist, best coloring, best lettering, and there's definitely people who have done DC work in those. But they all have, because these types of jobs tend to do a lot of books. There's a big list of books for every name. So
I was gonna say they're not as I don't want to say selective, but they work across the board, and on so many different things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For example, Jordi Belair, whose name comes up a lot as the colorist on a lot of books, is nominated for Absolute Wonder Woman, Nice House by the Sea, The Exorcism at 1600 Pen, Assorted Crisis Events, The Department of Truth, Exquisite Corpses, World Tree, G.I. Joe, EC Catacomb of Torment, EC Epitaphs from the Abyss. So that's a lot of books right there. So yeah, cool. So there you go. Eisner Awards are nominated. So, and that's it. That is all the news this week. So we can get into the books. Absolute Batman, issue 20, Scott Snyder writing with Nick Dragotta on the art. The Robins team is around. Yep. They are deployed, although they don't actually get involved till the very end of the issue, actually. The cliffhanger is, next time Batman versus the Robins. A lot of the stuff before that here is more the fallout of the documents that he got from Gordon at the end of last issue, and kind of him wrestling with those revelations. Although we start off with actually very classic Batman imagery of going behind the grandfather clock, going down the stairs out of the Batcave. There's a giant coin. There's the T-Rex and all that,
which looks more like a fossilized T-Rex.
Yes, that's true.
When I opened this book, I forgot for a hot second this was not mainline Batman, because all of these imageries are so much mainstream Batman, right?
Yes,
the giant penny, the dinosaur, the cave steps, and then I see the ha ha ha. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then I turn the page, and it is not even close to mainstream Batman. There is a demon in that chair. And I also like how he sleeps with his mouth open. Because this demon, that might be the most human thing about him.
Wait, is he sleeping because he's laughing, right?
Yeah, but he looked to me when I first read that he was sleeping. You know what I mean? Sitting in the chair the way that he was. Looks like he's dozed off. That's what I look like. If you want to know what I look like after Thanksgiving, guys, it's pretty close, just minus the teeth. But
just the teeth. That's the only thing that's different, because there's a lot of weird flesh coming off of his arms and all sorts.
Thanksgiving is a full contact sport. So creepy. I gotta give it to Dragotta here for this Joker, because he's a literal demon. And just when you think what to expect, you get him lounging in the chair like this, kind of in between form. Because it kind of looks like Grimm, but it also looks like that Joker demon thing that we saw in the introduction to the Joker, the man who laughs, whatever we're calling him, or the man who doesn't laugh. But yeah, I will give Dragotta and then Snyder credit for this. Was one of the creepiest issues between this and then all the stuff with Scarecrow later. I was reading this being like, oh yeah, this is a horror book at this point.
Yeah, notably he is laughing because he's watching the death of Jim Gordon, and he's seen Batman standing at the top of the rooftop looking down. That's what you see before the laugh. So he finds that hilarious, and they've really built up this idea of him never laughing until something very darkly funny makes him laugh.
Yeah. Well,
So
and there's all these big beats of the stuff that we've seen too. Like you have the Black Mask stuff with the party animals, right? And then you have the Bane stuff. And then we see, you know, Gordon falling as well. So it also plays as almost kind of like a catch up there as well. You know,
yeah,
just
but
reminds me he's kind of been behind these.
yeah, it's like he's watching like all the events that have played out because he's loosely behind them all and kind of then obviously we hear that people are blaming Batman, right? They think he killed Gordon. You even see Barbara sort of at the top of the stairs, kind of like, you know, shouting, "Hey, you know, tell me." Or not even at the top of the stairs. I think she picks up the cowl that's been left behind.
The cowl that he gave him.
Yeah. And she's like, "Hey, you listening? Tell me you didn't do this." So obviously, I assume he's going to make that clear at some point. It doesn't happen in this issue, though. It's just a really sad, somber moment. But he's looking at the files that he got from Gordon, and you know, it says Dr. Crane believes Bruce to be susceptible, and obviously we saw the whole Project Batman part at the top last time. So he's really weighing down with this, and he's sort of sulking. And Alfred's worried. Harley comes in with her big hammer to break down the door because they think he's behind the door. But when they get in there, he's gone. He's left.
Yep.
Gordon's coat's hanging on the wall, kind of the specter over the whole scene.
It made me feel like it started with the Joker's Batcave, and then this is what I feel as the start of Bruce's Batcave, right? And it's not a trophy; it's like a grim reminder of how he failed.
Oh, I can see how you see it that way. I kind of took it more as, like, again, just furthering this idea of in this universe, Joker has all of Batman's resources, including the cave. And then here, all Batman has is this crappy little hideout, you know? It's nothing.
Yeah, and again, he's hanging up the jacket as this reminder. And I was just like, oh, that's
the equivalent of the Jason Todd costume in the case.
Absolutely. Except this, you know, Gordon didn't deserve it.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, that goes without saying, I think. So we go to Wayland, who now looks completely human. That medallion that he got in the other realm with Wonder Woman is working a treat.
Magic.
Yeah, working a treat. And he comes in to find Edward, and he's like, "Hey, I'm worried about Bruce. He's not right in the head. We have to go help him." And Riddler's like, "Oh, I'm too busy. The others are too busy too." So it's kind of interesting that Wayland's the one who's kind of regained his sanity now, and he's like, "We have to go help Batman." And we get glimpses of what the others are doing, because Riddler's got like his mind hooked up to like the city systems, and he's like, "Well, here's what Two-Face is doing." And again, Two-Face looks like he's got like Sadako hair from the Grudge, or the Ring, sorry, like coming down over his face, but you just get the glimpse of the blue side of his face, tossing the coin.
And I like too that they set up to that it's not just Two-Face going after people with the coin, right? These are people that got let go after Harvey's relationship with Batman got broadcast. And so it's like he's going up and trying to clean up these guys that are now walking free. Yeah,
a lot of people got out who he'd put behind bars because, those cases are, you know, not valid anymore because you've associated yourself with Batman. So
and again, him there with the ring hair and like half of the body in the half suit. Again, this is a horror book. They're constantly reminding us.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even necessarily show us that he is even attacking them yet. He's just kind of watching one of them. He's just kind of spying on him.
Stalking.
Yeah, we might get like him attacking one of these guys next issue, or find out that he has done that. But right now, it's just kind of, again, creepy stalking from the back. And then we see Penguin, who is mad that no one's in his club, so he's like, "Oh, let's go to this other club then everyone's going to, and bring the C4." I actually really laughed the way he said bring the C4 at the end.
Yep. Well, he says, "Give me my dancing shoes, the bright shiny gold ones, and get the C4." That tag of "and get the C4" is like, oh, okay.
Very darkly funny, but Wayland kind of grabs Edward and sort of sits him down, and Riddler kind of like says, "Hey, I know how you're feeling. There's, ever since what happened to us happened, it's like there's been a hole in my head and like a riddle I can't solve, and it's really getting to me." And Wayland's like, "Yeah, I kind of actually get what you mean, but we're better together." So yeah,
I really love that final panel of them sitting there, and Eddie is smiling. And so is Wayland, and that's the first time that we see like vaguely human emotions from either of them in a while. So again, I do like that Snyder is like what makes them human is their camaraderie. And I feel like that's going to tie back to Batman eventually.
Notably, throughout the entire scene, Waylon's got sunglasses on, and it's just before that panel where he takes them off, and you can see that he's still got reptile eyes. Like, that's still in there. But it's like, he's showing his real face here at the very end for that smiling panel, so it's a bit more effective in that sense. So that's really cool. It's a quick flashback. Remember, Bruce gave himself up for the crime boss last issue.
Falcone.
And Falcone wanted him to do time, right? 6 months in prison to learn who everyone is in there, who's all the ways in and out, all that stuff. And it kind of glosses over it, to be honest. We don't really get too much of it, but it just sort of sets it up, and then there's another scene set after that later. But it sets up that he knows his way in and out of the prison. So we get this gorgeous quiet page of him just sort of gliding through the sky and then landing on the side of the tower of the prison and finding his way inside. And he's there to talk to Joe Chill because he wants to ask Joe Chill about the idea that this was not a random thing that happened to his father. That you so obviously, you planned to go and do something that day, but did you target Thomas Wayne? Did you do this because you were told specifically for that? And that's what he wants to know. What Batman's not expecting, though, is that out of nowhere, there's someone else in that cell who's not supposed to be there, and that's Scarecrow, who comes walking out in his creepy vibes. Really good stuff.
What is he? Does he move by the shadows? How does he keep doing this? How does he know where Batman's going to be before Batman realizes he's going to be there?
Yeah, he also knows it's Bruce. He doesn't say it until Joe Chill stops paying attention. But getting to that, he tells Joe Chill to get ready for bed. And then a page later, he's like, "Are you ready for bed, Joe?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's basically made a noose out of his bed sheets. And Batman's yelling through the cell, and he's trying to use his cape to get to him so that he can't do it. But he's unsuccessful. Joe Chill hangs himself, and that's the big thing. So it's Scarecrow is so effective at what he's doing here. And he talks about, you can cause fear, and I've always seen fear, but what's happening now, that's dread. It's one thing for a farmer to I fear my crops going bad, or pests or locusts or whatever, but oh no, now I've got existential dread about the entire world breaking into nuclear war, about all these other bigger things that I can't do anything about, but it seems inevitable, and that's real dread, and that's what Scarecrow wants to kind of help evoke and keep moving forward. Also casually mentions that there was something darkly funny about the bat being chosen as the thing to kind of attack you with, because hey, your mother's in the Court of Owls, and what is the natural predator of an owl? So
it's the owl. And so he also mentions working with Grimm. He's like, we thought it would be funny because of the prey of an owl as a bat. And he says it's not a project, he's a joke. So it's you're meaningless. So now he's also just attacking Bruce on that as well. It's you're kind of just an afterthought. You're just a joke to all of this. And I was just oh man, this is a different Scarecrow.
I mean, that ties in with the opening. Joker's literally laughing at what he's created. He's look at all this. He cares about Gordon dying. He's actually become a giant Batman. That was so funny. He's so messed up.
And then that was the other thing, is that they show that Scarecrow has a knife with him, right? He folds it out and he stabs Bruce with it when Bruce reaches in. And then when he has Chill hang himself, Bruce sends his cape in to catch him, and Scarecrow cuts it. And so again, it's just this thing, this whole dread and hopelessness that Bruce can't do anything.
And of course, and then obviously the alarm goes off and Batman flees the scene, and now it's going to look really suspicious because now Joe Chill's turned up dead and he's been seen fleeing the scene of the crime. So I mean, all of this is just kind of putting him through the ringer. There's another little flashback to afterwards where Falcone tries to say, "Hey, you're going to be our enforcer now, right?" And Bruce is I'm not, that's not who I am. But he's "Hey, no, take the bat," as in a baseball bat. You use this and you go out there. You won't even need it. You're a big guy. You won't have to even use it. You'll just intimidate people. And and it just kind of ends there. So we don't really know if if he gets forced into it for a little bit or not, or what. We'll find out later.
But it's what Falcone says, and he's like, everyone has to go through this. You'll do great. It's just a bat, a tool. Nothing special about it at all.
Yeah,
and it's like...
Yeah, it's just this idea that Bruce is going to make the bat mean something, right? He is going to... You think I'm nothing. You think I'm just an afterthought, just a joke. You're going to see this bat symbol as I beat you, and you're going to know you created the thing that took you down.
Yes.
That's what it feels like this is building to.
Yeah, I like that. So how I'm choosing to read this from Snyder, who's done so much work on Batman, there's always the thing where they talk about how the Batman is the persona and Bruce is the shield to that, right? That's how he interacts with the world. But when his parents died in the alley, he became Batman. I like here that he's almost inverting that. And it's like, okay, well, Grimm created the idea of the bat and he gave it to you, right? But that's just the tool. And it's going to be Bruce Wayne and his decisions and him turning that against the Joker. That's what makes it work. So it's going to be Bruce Wayne as the persona. That's the thing that at his basis level, right, is that Grimm created this version of Bruce. And it's going to be his, that's going to, not his undoing, but that's what's going to be, what's going to thwart him. And I really like that idea of Snyder flipping it like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely some of that in there, and that goes with flipping this idea of what Batman has versus what Joker has, and all the other flipperoos that's been happening here. It's very inverse. I think it is maybe a little more complicated, just in the sense that he is such this complex guy, and he's even told here that his mum's probably dead because she went to see the court of owls and she's not came back. Probably ended badly for her. Now I don't think she is. I think we're saving a big comeback moment down the line. But I think I love the difference here of just this idea of them creating their own undoing, right? Of creating this hey, we're just going to mess with this kid and do this to him and see what happens, and can Project Batman work? And he does become Batman, and so far he's more or less just playing into their and not even they've planned all this out. I think some of the outcomes to the Bane stuff and the outcome of what's going on right now, I don't think they knew what was going to happen there. I think that's why Joker's laughing, because he's like, oh, look at all the crazy things that have happened because of what we did to that kid. So the idea that he's going to have to sort of reclaim that symbol and make it his tool and make it mean something in a way where it didn't before is quite interesting. And just furthermore, the idea of this Batman and the regular Batman ever comparing notes is quite fascinating to think about in your head, because of how different the setup is.
Well, it's just Grimm is just torturing him, and he doesn't break. And that was the whole thing with the Bane arc, right? Was that he just kept pushing through, and he didn't do what Grimm thought he was going to do. But when he ended up using the Venom.
Joe is so good about this though. Joe is so good. Is that part of it's actually the same as the regular universe? What does Joker do in the regular universe? He likes playing with Batman. He likes to keep putting the city in danger and doing darker things to try and break him, to see if he can. That nugget is the same core, despite all the other differences.
Right. Well, and that's what I did. It was Joker thought he was going to use the Venom on himself, right? But he ends up flipping it around and overdosing Bane on it. So Bruce still doesn't do exactly what they think he's going to do. And like you just said, with the Joker likes to push mainstream Bruce, right? What's he going to do? Now I feel like this has just made it worse for Bruce, because now Grimm's like, oh, let's see how far we can take this, Yeah.
It's fascinating stuff. It almost, I just said I'll think of Batman meeting Batman, but what if regular Batman meets this Joker? Or this Batman meets regular Joker? There's so much potential for wild, and you can't do it for every character and their counterparts, but there's definitely at least one big story somewhere. If it's not Batman and Joker, then it's someone. It's it's absolute Superman and regular Lex, or vice versa, or whatever it is. But there's room somewhere, and I think Batman's the most interesting option just because of how flipped everything is. I think the clashing, because I think regular Wonder Woman and absolute Wonder Woman, they're different, but I think they would probably get on quite well. They're
gonna hug each other within 10 minutes and be like, sister.
Yes.
and mainstream Diana's gonna look at absolute Diana and go, wow, what's your gym routine? You know what I mean? That type of stuff. And same with Superman. He's gonna look at Superman and Cal will look at Clark and be like, oh, these are very similar, right? But different, and they'll get along. But I feel like here, I feel like Joker would look at absolute Batman and almost be like, okay, well, this is new. How am I going to go about this? Like, you'll give him pause almost, because of that. I just love the idea of him snatching the Joker and be like, we're done. Like, like, I will break every bone in your body. It's not funny anymore, Yeah,
or even just regular Batman and Absolute Joker. Like, this idea of Absolute Joker not understanding that this Batman happened without any, one trying to make him. He just existed and is this force of nature that, cannot be reckoned with. So there's lots of potential for crossy, wassy, timey-wimey things.
But and that's where I hope that Snyder does understand Batman at a certain level, that we can get this inverting and we can have this conversation about, oh man, what would the absolutes look like meeting their mainstream counterparts? And everything feels right. There's so much potential there.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason what makes it feel more Bruce focused than Bat as the main personality focus is because he has this group of friends, this group of people who knows who he is, who cares about him, and he's falling out with, and there's kind of this,
Yeah, it's weird. He has more of a community than like mainstream Batman with the sense of Gotham, whereas like we know that Bruce is in the mainstream, his love is Gotham, right? And here I feel like Bruce's love is that friend group, To
an extent, I think the way I would put it is more that he has a support group in the regular universe, but he didn't start that way. He built that as Batman. He built Nightwing and the Batgirls and all the other Robins and whatnot. Right, that's something that came in time that Alfred helped promote within him and all the rest of it. Whereas here, he already has all these friendships in this core group from before he went down this path. In fact, he even had these friendships before his dad died. Right, he knew these other kids before that time. It's a support system that predates the tragedy. So it really does shake up who he is and how he looks at the world. And it's not like, I suppose in some ways you'd look at it and say that's objectively better because he always had that, but it's also a little bit more heartwarming that in the regular universe he was able to build it after all the trauma and after everything he became. Like it was this guiding light back to some sense of normalcy.
The reason that Dick became Robin was he was getting too close to the dark, right? And he needed that kid energy, right? That younger person to remind him why we do this, right? Because it's easy just to be like, I fight crime, I break bones, but we have to still be a role model at parts. But here, when it starts, it's just like, no, this is why the stuff with the friends and him choosing to go solo means so much, is because his friends got hurt because of him, right? And he doesn't want that to happen to anybody else. And that's where I'm wondering where the Barbara stuff comes around now, because her dad died, right? Because of his association with Batman, right? And it made it look like Batman threw him off the roof and all this. So I'm wondering how that's going to play in at this point.
I think she'll become absolute Batgirl at this point. I feel like this is more than once she learns about who's behind all this, I feel like it's just going to push her more and more towards that.
I don't think, and I don't think a lot of the Robins are going to stay, because we barely touched on them. But I feel like where this goes, it's almost like they're handing him over allies. And maybe not all of them, but I definitely feel like with some of these Robins, just through these 2 issues we've gotten to know them, I definitely feel there's something else to
them.
I
mean, I would say we haven't gotten to know them yet. I mean, we've basically got a list of names and, because, I mean, that's the next part we're getting to is when Batman leaves the prison, the giant Nightwing bot comes up through the clouds and says, "You're under arrest, Batman." And then once he starts giving chase, we start seeing all the other Robins, and they literally refer to themselves as Robin 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
R2. Yep.
Because it's like, oh, Steph's Robin 4, Duke's or no, she's 5. Robin 5, and he's Robin 4. Sorry.
Okay.
No, sorry. Hold on. Duke's 4. Yeah, Duke's 4. Steph's 5. 4. Tim's 3. Yeah.
I was taking it chronologically, not So I assume that she was 4.
No, she's 5.
Introduced.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't think the ordering's based on anything in particular, really. But yeah, I mean, the cliffhanger is just that, they chase down Batman and he pulls out his axe and is walking towards all 5 of them for the cliffhanger.
Yep, and they're saying that if they do not Voltron at a certain point, I'm gonna be very upset.
It's very Power Rangers with the sort of like the color coded mech suits, or even like I don't know, any of those shows, Beetleborgs, VR Troopers, any of those, color coordinated power teams. Yeah,
that's what I was saying. The Voltroning, if all those mech suits don't join up to make one gigantic, I'm gonna be a little upset because it's right there.
But it's interesting though, because we were just talking about how Joker and to an extent Scarecrow, right? And this idea that Jonathan Crane, the psychiatrist, was like sort of doing profiles on potential kids that they could mess with. I like that detail, by the way. I didn't mention that earlier, but I did like it.
That's right.
This idea that they gave this idea of the bat to Bruce, and it's like, okay, he's still kind of using it, but now he's starting to realize that, so maybe he'll turn it around on them. It is interesting that the villains also gave the Robins the Robin name. So, in effect, they might end up doing a similar thing to Batman, where they might take it for themselves and then make it mean something that blows up in the villains' faces, potentially. So, what I'm saying is there's actually a lot of similarities in the sense of like the fact that they gave Batman the bat and they gave the Robins the Robin. So there's maybe like more bonding over like them turning to Batman's side than perhaps... otherwise there would be. So that's good stuff. It's good stuff. Alfred Jelling, get out of there. He doesn't want him to fight 5 Robins at the same time.
No. Bruce again. Can't tell this man what to do. And I like that. This is the most punk Batman ever. At this point. He's like, get out of there. Nah.
I think that's what makes this absolute version work so well, is that he is just enough of a different character. But it still feels like it's playing with the mythos of Batman in interesting ways. So it's walking a tightrope in a lot of ways, because I think if you went too like weird and different, it just wouldn't feel like Batman anymore. So it's keeping the essence in there, but it's also I guess what I'm saying is Snyder really has to understand who Batman is in general to be able to do this alternate version and make it feel true to the idea without, but also being wildly different and doing different takes on everything.
So what I was trying to get at when I was comparing with that and the Joker is he has to have that understanding. And for a while, I thought that it had gotten past him because his run, I just think maybe went too long. And we got to some really weird stuff. But here, this feels refreshed. This feels like he has a point of view. Like he exactly knows this Bruce. Like he knows absolute Bruce through a T, and he has things planned out. And I know that he says him and Dragotta right now have up to issue 50 worked out. That's what they want to do. Now, how it plays out, we'll see. There could be, It's
number 1. Like, issue 1's on, it's like 17th reprinting. Yep. I've got a pretty good feeling they'll get their 50 issue run if they want it.
So, and that excites me because that means that he's not just, I felt like it towards the end of his original run of Snyder's, he was just kind of throwing stuff against the wall, saying things like, that doesn't feel like here. This feels like he had like everything with the friend group planned out, and then the Robins.
It feels mapped out. To be fair, I do think he had things I don't think he was just throwing stuff against the wall with his Batman run. I just think he wanted to get weird and go to bizarre places that I did not like. And I think all of his weird, wild tendencies here get to flourish because it's this alternate take for the most part. So, the one asterisk on them getting to do their 50 issue run or their 100 issue run or whatever they want to do, the only asterisk on that is once the Paramount sale of Warner Brothers goes through, if that gets wonky with anything. But I mean, hopefully the comics get untouched, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's a small enough. But this was a lot of fun, and I also like how much the different Robin colors pop up against the typical Batman gray and black. Right, like there's a contrast there.
Yep,
that just works. So I'm very excited for the next issue to see how this fight scene plays out because Dragotta is killing it here.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that they should have had Jason just have red and Tim just have green. The fact that they both have red and green makes it less obvious which one's which at a glance than the robots. But other than that,
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, no, neat. Art's very good. You know, all the stuff with talking to Scarecrow was super creepy. Batman flying into the tower and all that looked good as well. Really good. Very, reserved, this issue. It's very all kind of nuanced stuff because it's not a big actiony issue for the most part. It's very much these intense conversations, either Scarecrow with Batman and Joe Chill, or Wailing with Riddler, all that kind of stuff. But all of it looks good. It's all very good. This creepy undertone, and definitely builds suspense for where it's going. I do. Mm-hmm. I think if anything, this book through these last couple of issues has maybe even been the best it's been, which is really saying something because it's been very high quality throughout. But the way that it's starting to feel like it's playing with the Batman mythos and what the Bat means and what we're going to be doing with it is very exciting. So
yeah, the for me, the fact where I wasn't enjoying some of the Bane stuff to spinning out of that and then through Poison Ivy and now this, I really feel like it is hitting to the strongest it's been. Definitely for me. So I am locked in. I was so excited to read this week. Like as soon as I had some time, I was like, oh yeah, we're hitting Absolute Batman hot out the gate. And it's been a while since I felt like that. I usually try to leave the books I'm excited for till last, because if I read something really good, it's going to make everything else feel kind of like it's not up to the level. But no, the pure excitement from reading this first, got me through the week.
All right. What are you giving Absolute Batman issue 20?
I'm gonna give this an 8.5.
I'm just going straight 9, I think, for me on this one. Mm-hmm. I love what it's doing. Great time. Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 11. Deniz Camp writing with Javier Rogriguez on the penultimate issue of the book. And a lot of the stuff early on in this issue is very much the idea that the Martian and the Sparrow are both in his head, and you get that first page where it's kind of cracked down the middle, and the Sparrow side's all sort of purpley, the Martian side's a lot more sort of healthy with pinks and yellows, and you basically have like it's almost like the little devil and little angel on the shoulder, but it's more about like inner thoughts and depression, where the Sparrow's like, we're almost losing, might as well just die, like what the hell, we're almost there, you have
nothing to live for, you've made everybody's life worse. It really is negative self-talk, And I want to point out here, I want to give Rogriguez, right? I always do this, the credit for what are on those signs on the first page, where it almost feels like they're counter to each other. So like the free clinic with the healthcare is offset on the Despero side with a liquor bar, right? So like there's these parallels here of virtue and vice, kind of, the toy store on the opposite side is a gun store.
Yeah.
And all this, and it sets the tone immediately here. And this is one that the more I thought about it through the week, the more I couldn't wait to talk about it out, because there's a lot of stuff at play here with the Sparrow, with the Martian, that I don't know if it all sunk in. That said, I've been thinking about it since I read it, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, the second page is even wilder page artistically, because it's like John's head, but it's kind of split up where the Martian's beam is showing him like happy memories of like camping with his father. Remember the feel of the fire. Remember cooking the marshmallows. All happy memories. And then the Sparrow, his beam that's all blue and green, is like, oh, you're sitting by your father's deathbed as he's dying. You were wondering where the doctors were and thinking about hospital bills and all that. Like it's just like, oh shit! Like the way that this is, and it's all taking place in an inside like overall shape of his head. It's just really, really good stuff. And then at the bottom, you see like the Martian and the Sparrow just like face to face, like almost fighting. And it's funny because I actually felt like John, at the bottom of this page says, "Hey, will you do something about this guy?" I was like, oh, that's the first time he's kind of like, I think, acknowledged and talked about the fact that the Sparrow's there to the Martian. So, not that I think the Martian didn't know, but it's just, I feel like that's the first time it's just been outright said like that, where it's like, oh. Yeah,
he's getting overwhelmed by all of the stuff. And I do love that at the top of the page, there's a caption from the Sparrow. It says, I mean, be honest, non-existence is sounding pretty nice right now, right? And so it just seems like this thing of the despair is just trying to overwhelm him. And I do like that it shows here that the Martian is trying to push back on all of that. So you really get this internal struggle playing out. throughout the whole rest of the issue.
Yeah. So yeah, even the next page starts with like the Martians like holding on to the Sparrow's legs and try to pull him back as the Sparrow's whispering in his ear. So again, it's just furthering this idea. And then, the book gets kind of wacky because he's worried about his wife and kid, obviously. And we see that the kid's basically, via the White Martian, just putting more and more like thoughts into her head, making her think everything's okay. But she kind of knows deep down something's a little off. And every time she sort of starts to question things, like, and it's represented because you see like it's all white smoke in the room. But then when she starts thinking about stuff, she starts thinking about her husband, John, the colors start coming out again, right? The real thoughts start coming out. And then all of a sudden the kid, via the White Martian just sends more white in to cloud it all up, and she's back to thinking, oh, everything's fine again. And I think what I like about this issue is that the issue is very much about John trying to get to his wife and kid because he knows the White Martian has them, and he thinks he's going to go and save them. But in the end, he actually overcomes with the depression and the grief, and it's actually the wife who's able to overcome the White Martian's thoughts and finds him. So the end of the issue actually ends with her holding him and saying, what's wrong, and like being there for him, which was oddly uplifting given that it was, all about him trying to get to her.
Yeah, because the first part of this series, right, was the relationship between them and him, and being lost in his work and doing the stuff with the Martian and him being distant and all this. So the fact that by this point that they had the idea of each other to come together, it is heartwarming. The other thing in the house, right, is the kid has filled up the house with these like creatures that look like they're made of clay, right? And it seems like they all represent something about the world that's like negative. And so it's almost like the White Martian has filled up her house with all this negative feelings because there's the money, and then there's like the toxic sign and the heartbreak. In what grounds her is the thought of her husband, is the thought of John. And so I do like how that again all plays out because they're all colored as well, these creatures, but they're not that same bright, vivid color that we associate with the Martian and the thoughts and all that stuff.
Yeah, they're basically kind of the same set of colors almost, although one's kind of like gray and one's kind of a black, and like there's kind of a range. But yeah, one's money, one's like heartbreak, and one's like it's a radiation symbol. So what are you going to call that? Disease, nuclear war,
toxic type stuff. Yeah, all the negativity. But I really like the 4 panels that split up the next page, like under that one, and you can see the vibrant colors poking in, and because all the other colors are muted, they stick out, so it really draws you over to there. And then they're suppressed.
They're suppressed by the white. It's like, oh, she's thinking about happy things. They got to suppress that. And then you see like the Martian kind of fending off those like those characters, the ones that are working for the White Martian, the ones that have got the red, white, and blue smoke coming out of them. They're attacking, and the Martian's like actually firing a beam from his eye. So like, obviously, a lot of the things we've talked about with the Martian in this book so far is that it's all kind of happening on this sort of metaphysical level where it's not a physical thing in the real world. But this almost kind of felt like, oh, this actually might be happening, where he's actually using his... Because the Martian does have laser vision, right? That's a thing, regular Martian
vision.
Yeah. So it seems like, no, he's shooting his beam out of his eye, he's taking on all these comers, and that, because he's protecting John, that gives the Sparrow time to just get in his head on his own and be completely, free to just try and corrupt him. And it sort of all mixes up where the woman villain drops her gun and John catches it, and the Sparrow starts making him think about the time where he did have a gun to his head when he turned on, well, not even turned on his partner, but his partner was corrupt, right? And he turned him in because he was doing bad things. And so it's basically he's playing on all these bad things from his past and trying to use that to make him break down.
And the Sparrow telling him that you have like a kink for bad partners. And, and it's just like, well, no, it's, he spoke up against this guy. And right. And then of course him and his wife had issues, but that's just marriage, So the fact that the despair in his head is also doing all this negative self-talk. And then it also made me think of like the whole concept of anti-life with Darkseid that they've hinted at in here, where like anti-life isn't death. It's just like the feeling of nothingness and just subservience, And so just the fact that like the Sparrow is just talking him to it, like, you don't matter. Nothing matters. You would have been better off not here, right? And it's all this other, stuff. And when John does overcome it, it feels like a fist bump moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, that doesn't happen too easily, though, because he fires the gun at Sparrow, but then Sparrow says, look at these people that are lying here dead with the colours floating out of them, and he's like, wait, did I just do that? And I think the neat thing about this is that on the top of that panel, the guy with the hat who's shooting at the Martian, he's firing in the exact same angle that John does a few panels down, to maybe give you the hint that it was actually him who had, who shot some people, with some stray bullets. But this gets into John's head, and we get a lot more stuff here where the Martian's taking care of these villains, and he's doing all that on his own in the background as the Sparrow keeps talking into his ear, and starts talking about, hey, most gunshots are self-inflicted. Did you know how many people in law enforcement take their own life? And really starts to get into his head. But this is when we cut back to his wife, who's starting to then question things again and has seen all the white smoke, and decides to try and sort of break out. She kind of you get that one bit of green coming from her, right? Like she can sort of sense this one bit of green, which leads her to the door, and she actually smashes through it with a hammer to try and get out. So she does break out of the house, and she's basically following the I mean, scent's not the right word, but the scent of her husband is, for lack of a better term.
No, it is. Yeah, it's that, but also, so every time she tries to open the windows, like everything is shut and the glass is cracked, and this is shows there's this feeling of isolation. And then she even's she goes, I'm sure there were doors before, and then she says, I want to ask, and then John is X'd out with a cloud of the white smoke.
Well, it's not just the word John, even the word husband. So basically, you get her narration boxes, and every so often the white smoke actually overlaps and hides some words, and it tends to be either husband or John, anything related to him. So it's this idea that it's still trying to cloud her thoughts, but she's still thinking anyway.
Right.
Really nice touch in the art.
And it's the sense of isolation, and then she even says Tyler smells wrong, as the mother, he smells like nothing. He's the absence of odor. And then that, because of all of that, and we get all the white smoke, that's when that green starts fading in, or drifting in. So again, it's just the art and the story, or in the letters, working together perfectly.
Yeah, because and there's a bit later on where he just the Sparrow says to John, "Oh, your son died months ago. He ate a chocolate bar that was poisoned," which was a very dark thing to suggest. So, I mean, I'm assuming he's not dead. I'm assuming he can be brought back once they get the White Martian out of him.
Here's my thing: knowing what we've read with Dennis Camp, and he's not afraid to pull punches. And so, what if the son died?
Well, that
is the White Martian. That
wouldn't be pulling a punch. That would be a full punch.
But that's what I'm saying. I said Camp doesn't pull punches. So him making that the kid died, and yet as a couple, them putting that up, and that said, him dropping it right now with an issue to go, that's not great storytelling. But yeah, that put into my thought what if Despero's not wrong, right? What if the kid did die? And this is why he's been so, been able to be affected, is the absence of his son. And deep down, he knows that's not his son because his son died. But
I don't think it's bad storytelling, because I think it's just this idea of the seeds of doubt, because that's what all the Sparrow's doing, is making him doubt and doubt and doubt.
But when I say about the bad storytelling, let's say the son, is dead. The fact that we didn't even get a hint of it until the second to last issue, that something might be up, that John noticed or the mom noticed or whatever, that's the only thing that would make me pause on that.
I still don't think that's inherently bad. I don't know why that's yeah.
And just something that big to the story, I feel would have been seeded early on. We would have picked up on that.
I mean, he's been acting off for several issues now.
But we just thought that was the White Martian, right? There was outside of him eating the poison, right? At the end of that first arc, we just thought that's how the White Martian got in, and took him over.
Sure, but what if? Yeah, but I don't think that finding out that that might have actually killed him, which I don't necessarily think it did, for the record. But if it did, I don't necessarily think it's bad to not reveal it until now. If actually a bit of a gut punch, if that is the case, it's
yeah, I just again with the way that he's been telling the story, not having little pieces there to lead to that, and I'm just dropping it there. I shouldn't say bad storytelling. I'm just saying it wouldn't be fulfilling, I think, to leave it till the second to last issue to address up to that.
No, I have no issues. Without knowing how the last issue is going to play out, I really cannot say a negative thing just for that line.
I'm just saying that's where I'm at right now with it, because that was again, I went, oh man, what if he's been dead the whole time? That's where I went and was like, that's why everything's been off with the kid, and it's not just the white Martian. It's, you know what I mean? It's the idea of the kid, and that's what is causing all of this. You know, like the loss of a child affecting them both in such ways, and
Well, that doesn't sound like it's out of nowhere, though. That sounds like you're saying that all of a sudden a lot of things make sense, if that's what the reveal is.
Well, right, but again, when it got brought up on the second to last, I don't actually think they're gonna. I think the kid is the kid, and they're gonna purge the white Martian in all of this. I'm just saying, hypothetically, in that thing. So we'll see in the next issue.
Yeah, I think you're working yourself into a shoot. Is basically what I think. So
yeah.
I wouldn't worry about it effectively. So there's some other stuff here where Desparo sort of like shows someone like getting executed in the electric chair and says, "Oh, you've sent lots of people to the chair yourself." And he's like, "I don't think we use the chair anymore." And he's like, "Oh, who cares? Like, electrocution, lethal injection, it's all the same thing in the end, right?" So you get this horrific thing of like just people watching this guy be killed. So it's, it's really playing with this idea, and you see like all the color of his life leaving his ears in this big 2-page spread as this guy gets killed in the chair. And he talks about how meaningless all this is, because he says, "Hey John, you always wonder why things happen the way they do, like why the choices get made." And he's like, "Hey, this guy got this harsh sentence because the judge who sentenced him didn't have breakfast that morning and he was hungry, so he was more malicious than he should have been. It's that meaningless. Nothing has that great sense of purpose." And this is just kind of what starts to like make him break down. You see kind of, and there's a great panel here of the guy who was executed. It's the next to the panel of the wife running, looking for John, is the head's down, and there's just like the faintest bits of color still just kind of floating from his head, just like fumes after he's died. It's really, really sad. But no, this makes. And you go.
Free will is a fairy tale next to it.
Yeah.
Too. That also goes in with the whole anti-life, with the dark side of it all. So that going and just putting it with death and just in the darkness, and like every time that we've seen Desparo kind of talk, we kind of get his outline somewhere. Here, it's just his speech bubble with the neon green and everything. So it really drove that home. Like, just that sense of hopelessness.
That makes him run out, saying, basically having a breakdown. And he starts yelling for his wife and his son, and that's when Desparo says, "Tyler is dead. He died months ago, poisoned by a choco." And, John yells out, "No," and is on the fetal position on the ground in the snow. And this is when his wife finds him. Bridget runs up to him. And there's a panel here at the bottom, like it's intentionally not finished. It's like just the line work of John looking distressed, like all the color's gone. He's like, "What did you think? All these cracks were just in your head?" Well, were they? But what happens in your head also happens. And the final page is her holding him saying, "I'm here, John." And the bottom of the page is just possessed Tyler dancing with all of his creations. Yeah. I mean,
it's so creepy. The kid, it's like a really messed up Where the Wild Things Are.
And I was thinking it's very Wicker Man. It looks like a little cult that's getting ready to put his dad into a Wicker Man.
Yeah. Also, because there was that undercurrent of the cracks throughout. Like, we keep seeing like the green writing with crack, and here, there's a crack in reality above Desparo.
Yes.
Right. with the laughing and whatnot. So the whole thing, there were cracks, and they were just in your head, but they're still there. Like,
well, I mean, I think the more people who crack, the more people who succumb to the White Martian, the more that the real crack forms. That Darkseid's crack will emerge, and the anti-life will will seep in.
Yep. And then just the fact that bottom part of that last page is just on the white, right? So it's almost like, even though there's the white smoke, it's almost like the white has completely overtaken everything down there.
Yep.
So very, very good stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a good. I think we started this issue with they have to get to the wife and the son because they're trapped with White Martian stuff, and it's like, okay, that's a good goal. It was exciting to start off the issue that way. But again, it became a bit more nuanced as it went on, where it's more about the depression for John kind of overtaking, and we have this representation of that of the Sparrow actually saying all of it to him in his ear. And Jean, the one who's protecting him, isn't there to help fight it off because he's too busy fighting agents of the White Martian. Like, I think the idea that he breaks down and the wife has to kind of be there for him makes it more this two-way street. It kind of comes all back around to really being about their marriage and like how he's been holding things from her and not letting her in. And that's kind of how all this started, is he went through stuff at work where someone got hurt, where he turned his partner in, and all of the bad mojo he got from that, and the way he was being treated at his new position, and all of the stigma from that. He wasn't talking to her about that, and this depression was allowed to grow. So it does feel very fitting that a big part of this ending is going to be finally letting her into what he's been going through. And not just telling her about the Martian in his head, which he's already tried to do, and she thinks he's crazy because it sounds crazy.
Well, and then there's also a piece as the Martian's fighting these guys and stuff that they get talking about how the Martian's always been there. And so Despero's whispering in his ear, go back and look at your life. And there's all these like moments that he went through, him getting like an ice cream cone, him and him and his wife in bed together, him with his son, him graduating, and the Martians in all of them if you look close enough.
Yeah,
right?
the final one's that moment with his partner with the gun, and you see him kind of in the background, sort of like hovering. It's
and it puts into his head like Despero tells him like, you're not the driver, you're the passenger. That's where they bring up the thing on death row. So I do like the idea that like, even though he is the passenger or whatever, he does rely on other people, right? And whether it's the Martian in his head, right, or if it's his wife, he needs that. No man is an island.
Well, what is it? Well, Despero's trying to say he's always been there and he's not helped you, so he's responsible for all this, and you have no free will. Everything is determined, and you have no say in any of it. So this is all destined to be bad. What I think is actually going to be the interpretation of this is that the good side of him, the side of him that can help fight him depression, has always been there, and it's just trying to be framed in a negative way by Despero. Now, does that literally mean the Martian had already kind of latched onto him, like before the start of this story? Had he already latched onto John like years ago, and has been there for a long time, sort of like simmering until he needed to sort of like emerge and actually be like the power in his head? I don't know. I don't know if we're going that route. But at least in this moment, it kind of feels like Despero was trying to frame this as, he was always there and he never helped you with any of this. But in actuality, I think it's going to be more, no, that part of you that can fight off this darkness has always been there. And it was there during those moments, but just was unable to help because you let the darkness overcome and, not like basically succumb to the bad thoughts or whatever the predicament was. So I think we're kind of inching into that territory, but it was an interesting moment for Despero to try and disparage the relationship with the Martian.
And just there using all of that and then how it ends up with his partnership with his wife, right? Like even if the Martian's not with him right now and he's been completely overtaken by despair, the fact that she's the one that gets to him.
Yes.
Right. And so I do feel like that's going to be the reminder that, I've always needed help, right? Because again, no one's by themselves in this world. We all rely on each other. And then that takes me back to the first page, right? Where it's that split down the middle with the Martian positive side and the Despero negative side. They're two halves, right? It's all the same thing. And then when we get to the end with the crack in the sky, he's like, yeah, the cracks were always in your head, you know, and, you know, they've always been there, always were, and now they're coming onto the outside. I feel like the thing that's going to like ground him here now is that his wife came through and did all that stuff. So again, that's some really good, right? They're very fulfilling here at the end, that she's the one that finds him in that fetal position, in that state. And then we also get that the Martian took out 2 of the 3, right? But like the secret agent lady is the one that escapes back into the movie posters.
Yeah.
And goes off. So again, I would love, if I could ask Dennis Camp anything, I'd be like, what are these guys supposed to represent? Like, because we got the hippie dude, we have her as like the secret agent, and then we got the Uncle Sam G-Man type thing. And it's like, okay, so why the secret agent is the one that, you know, why did she get away? Like, is that going to pay off? Like, there's a lot. I feel like he uses a lot of imagery and that type of stuff. That doesn't necessarily need an explanation, but I would just like it. I'd like to talk to him about it.
Yeah, you know, the whole thing with the... Because I think it's just a simple thing of, like, those people are around you, and then the positive and negative thoughts are just trying to shape how you view them, right? Mm-hmm. So this idea of, like, the negative thoughts, in this case, the Sparrow saying, oh, your wife hates you, she doesn't love you, she doesn't think this of you. And the good thoughts are obviously, no, she loves me, she cares about me and all this. So this idea of her showing up at the end to be there for him is like proving the good thoughts, right? It's like reinforcing them in a way that he needs them reinforced right now. And that potentially is quite touching. And then together, and I think this is where it's probably going to some extent, is that it's going to take both of them in unison working as a team to save their son. And now that they're both there for each other, they can achieve that. So I think that's where we're maybe going in the grand scheme of things. How exactly that plays out, we'll find out. But I think that's where we're going.
I love that Dennis Camp was able to unpack all this stuff, because we believed in this enough that it got a full maxi series out of, right? Because it was only going to be the 6 issues initially.
True. Yeah.
You know, so the fact that he unpacked all of this and is, you know, kind of like the Swamp Thing book, that the back half has so much more going on when Ram V got to do the back half of that. Like, all the Sparrow stuff, I think really has upped the series as a whole. You know, to see that up against the Martian and how it affects John. So, you know, this is why read comics, guys. This is what we get paid off with.
I don't think you have to tell the audience of this show to read comics, Matt. I think I think they're here because they're already interested. All right, we give an absolute Martian Manhunter.
I'm going to give this one I'll give it a 9.
Yep, I think I'm going with a 9. And the only reason why I'm not going higher than a 9, which I don't usually feel the need to justify that, but obviously this is at such a high level that I'm just going to say that there, you know, once the Sparrow's like taking him around and talking in his ear, it doesn't have as much of a structure in the middle, I felt, because it's like, hey, we're looking at this part of your past, and we're going here to look at this convict, and like that just runs on a little bit in a way there where the structure isn't quite as tight as perhaps other issues have been. And it's a very minor critique I'm giving here. I'm just saying why it's not escalating to like the 9.5 and 10s of the world. So there you go. It's absolute Martian Manhunter. Action Comics 1098, Mark Waid writing with Skylar Patridge and Patricio Delpeche on the art. So, I'm just going to get the big complaint out of the way first at the start of this issue, which I mostly enjoyed. I think it's another fun issue of what we've been doing with Action. And that is the art change, because at first it felt fine, because, you know, it's they go to the Kents to ask them about any details about the ship, which obviously the villain's stolen. And they start telling the story, and like often when you've got a second artist in a book, if you've got like a flashback sequence, the second artist does the flashback sequence, and that's okay. That's fine. It starts up. I don't like the art as much as the regular art, but that's okay. Different style for the flashback. I can live with it. However, it starts intercutting with the character still talking about the flashback in the present day in the new art style, before eventually reverting back to Partridge in the back chunk of the book. And that stuff looks so different from the regular art, and honestly, in some faces, looks so bad that it really annoyed me.
Yep, I agree. Because when it went to the flashback art, I was like, okay, this is interesting. Make it different from Patridge. And then it goes to Jean and Booster and Mary, and I'm just like, they're not part of the flashback. They're in the room.
Yeah.
Like I understand that splitting up by page count or whatever, but it just did not work for me.
No,
the art styles are too different.
It also felt like for some reason, and maybe you could argue that they were. I'm looking. No, it didn't. So when they start telling the story, Mary, Jean, and Booster are all in their superhero outfits. And yet, when it starts like cutting back to the group talking, and it happens quite quickly.
That's right.
It's just a few pages
That's
in,
right.
we get a few panels of like John and Martha telling the story, and they're in a different art style, which felt weird. But then it goes back to the flashbacks, and then it eventually comes back around to just all the characters talking about this, and you see them. And first, like Mary is in her civilian clothes, Booster's in a t-shirt, Jean's turned into a human appearance, and I'm like, none of them. Why did they change halfway through the conversation? There's no reason for that.
No, that didn't even clock with me till right now. But you're right. I just went back and looked. I was like, yeah, they were in their superhero uniforms.
So
even Clark, they got Clark too, because there's a cut in with his mom where he's like, "Oh, Mom, don't tell that part of the story," and he's Clark Kent. He's not Superboy.
Yeah, well, if you keep going, the page where you see Jean and human, Clark's behind him, and he's in his civilian clothes, he's got his glasses, and I have to say, that's actually the worst panel of this art for me, is the look in Clark's face. He looks like a Muppet.
Yeah. He looks like Beaker.
He looks like Beaker. Yeah. That's what he looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... Yeah, had to get that complaint out the way. Once that's done, because it cuts to a scene in Clark's bedroom, which again, him and Mary are back in their superhero outfits. It's almost like the second artist did not get like the right instructions here or something. Or
no.
Yeah, it feels like a genuine mistake that they're all in their civilian clothes for only that artist section.
But we even get a thing where Clark changes, because we get a whoosh with Mary's hair, and then That's right. He changes from his superhero outfit into his civilian clothes in this next scene, which makes no sense given the... Oh, that's so annoying. Let me tell you, Big Sister Mary is one of my favorite things.
It's the best part of this book. Her teasing, the way he mentions whatever, and then she's like, oh yeah, you have to go to school. Well, Lana, like the way she like spells, like says her name out, and she's like, calm down, I'm not flirting with you, I'm going to big sister mode here. And he explains that she's mad at him because he had to ditch her during the whole science fair thing. And like, she's only got eyes for Superboy anyway, not Clark. And like Mary gets this look in her face, really? Huh? Right? And this is what I was hoping was going to happen. I was hoping this was going to happen. Next day at school, Mary's there, and she's intentionally like, okay, where's Lana? And Lana's walking past all mad. She's been ice cold because Clark ditched her. And then she's like, wait a minute, who's this broad? And Mary's like, oh, hey, I'm a friend from Philadelphia, and Clark was just letting me tag along for the day. And she's like touching Clark's arm when she's talking to her, and like just kind of like, putting her hand under his arm and sort of holding on to him, and just the icy glare on Lana's face, the jealousy forming.
So good.
It's so funny.
Also, when he tries to talk to her, he's like, hi, I'm sorry for what happened. I got sick from ice cream. And she goes to call him Mr. Kent, right? Because she's mad. And then that's when she looks over and sees Mary there. And then Mary even uses that. What did they say about the Mr. Kent part? Oh, Mr. Kent convinced the principal to let me shadow student for the day. And so I just love that Mary being a little bit petty to drive it home more brings up the fact that she's not even calling him by his full name, because she's mad. Waid is really good at this interpersonal teenage stuff.
And when Lana says, are we still good to study, like, on Thursday afternoon? And he's like, yeah, sure. And Mary jumps in and says, yeah, if you can find the time later, sweetie. and the way Clark just bangs the back of his head against the lockers, and Mary's just lapping this up. She's like, oh, this is so funny. You're adorable at this age. And so good. The
colorist here too, making Clark's face blush red too throughout, is also again perfect.
Yeah. It's all so good. It's the highlight of the issue, honestly, which is not to say the rest of it's not good, but you know, like hearing because most of the flashback is basically just the Kents explaining the finding of the ship. It's just the origin stuff again, honestly.
It's the pearls in the alley, but it's the spaceship in the cornfield.
Yeah. Martha was a natural born mother, but you know, she couldn't have kids. She was so upset. Oh, and then one day you fell into a cornfield. And you know,
there's a whole thing where I feel like Waid overcomplicated the origin by being like, oh, well, we'll have to put him into foster. Wait, but there's no foster people. You can have them anyways. And I was like, they could have just said, hey, normally we don't do this, but, you know, found baby, you know.
It was
real weird.
It's trying to deal with like the real world like technicality, right? Which is, people will ask questions if you suddenly have a child and no paperwork. So this is just like, the Kents need to officially have adopted them. So the way they do it, and this is like, you know, like you'd have to report if you found a baby, and obviously they won't find his natural parents because they don't exist on Earth, but you'd have to go through the process, and it's like, well, we've got foster parents who do this, right, who are experienced. We're not going to just give them back to you. But they beg, they want to adopt him, blah, blah. And basically, he just kind of hand waves, and after a night of waiting, we got a phone call saying, yes, they could come home with us. But it does say that, you know, baby Clark did spend at least a night in, like, some sort of, you know, I don't know. Facility,
somewhere.
Which is interesting because I'm like, because normally a lot of origin stories will say that, you know, as a baby, he would, like, lift up a crib or something. You know, like, and I'm like, it's a good job he didn't show any powers during that one night.
Yeah, because he's not infant by the time that he lands, but he is like upper levels of toddler. So yeah, him like destroying the facility, and that's why they gave them the call, right? They're like, you can have this weird kid. Yeah, you know, like it'll be better for us this way. So again, I get why they did that, because like Silver Age or even Man of Steel version was that they found him in the winter, and because that the Kents were farmers, they lied that she was actually pregnant. And then when they come back into the spring, there's a baby. And I was just like, well, I guess this is a little bit better than that. Not by much, but... Yeah,
because there'd be no birth certificate. That would be a problem at some point for Clark in his life. He doesn't have a birth certificate. So, yeah, I mean... Hey, whatever. It goes back to the boosters talking to the Kents. There's some okay little exchanges here about like Jonathan and Martha being worried about, you know, Clark, like, you know, he's making mistakes, but he's like learning lessons from them. And Booster's like in the future, your son's like the most grown up ever. I can't imagine him having to learn things. But you know, I was like, okay, you're maybe, because there's also a moment as well where Jean kind of bends a rule a little bit, because they're kind of worried that someday someone's going to come and like take her son from us, you know, from wherever he's from, right? And he doesn't obviously explain that Krypton's destroyed. He doesn't say that his parents are dead or anything, because they have to learn all that the way they're going to learn it.
Right.
But he just says, look, no one's ever going to come and take him from you. I'm just going to tell you that.
He's yours.
Right? Yeah. It's never happening.
And I do like it because that rule break means something, right? It puts them at ease, right? And it kind of breaks the tension. It shows that Jean is trustworthy with all of that. So, yeah.
So basically, they just use the crystal from the ship, which, you know, gives the message about Krypton. Not that they can understand it yet, but it used to put baby Clark at ease to see all this stuff. They basically just reverse engineer that to trace where the ship is that was stolen, and it leads to a farmhouse somewhere else, I think in Smallville. They never really say it, I don't think. But Jean uses his thermal vision to see the epochs inside. They go down, and Jean pretends to be Superboy so that the kryptonite blast won't work. And then they all just fight him for a bit. That's an okay fight scene, nothing particularly special. But when Epoch says that he's going to murder Clark's parents, he gets mad and flies him up into space or into the sky, and rips open the armor, and it breaks the containment of his suit. Like, so, like something comes out of it, some red radiation. It looks a little bit like red UV light to me, just based on what happens next. Because Clark lands, or he's falling, and Mary has to catch him. Epoch like disappears into time stream stuff, and Superboy's like, wait a minute, I can't fly. What happened to my powers? So to me, it feels like whatever's powering Epoch's suit is some kind of like red sun tech or something that's maybe made him human for a bit. So I mean, that is fun though, that he's going to have to deal with being a normal teenager for maybe an issue or two. I could see some hilarity from that.
So I was thinking timey-wimey stuff with the suit because it says he broke containment, but no. Now that I look back and you mention it, it is red. So it makes sense that it is more red, like radiation type.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if he's either using like either some type of kryptonite or maybe like a little mini red sun like Batman's had in his gloves in the past or something to power his suit.
Yeah, because when he's there, he's talking about that he's, Epoch has said that he's adjusted things. What's it right here? It says, of course, naturally, the ship is powered by solar energy from the world. I can work with that. Because I never killed a child before. So again, Mark Waid getting dark here. There was something in there that he had adjusted the energy to deal with Kryptonians. So
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, it was the thing. I was like, oh no, I thought maybe timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah. Regardless, whatever's in his suit is depowered Clark. I mean, that's the important details. So, I still quite enjoyed a lot of this issue. I will say though, the extended flashback to like finding the ship, both because it felt like a little bit like, okay, like we don't have to. Can we just like talk about? Because it feels like tell us about the ship, and we get the story of finding the ship, and I'm like, that's not really telling us about the ship. It's more.
There's nothing in there.
Yeah, skip straight to the crystal. There was a crystal in the ship. That's the only. You need 1 page of it. That's it.
Yeah.
Plus, the art for that section just being really different and
God-awful.
To my taste, bad. Frankly, I did not like how it looked.
Well, and even not even tasting. There's some bad panels in there as well.
Yeah. That Clark Beaker page panel is just wildly bad.
I will say, I think my favorite panel is when Clark at the end tries to fly, and Patridge just draws his determination face going up, and everyone just standing around staring at him.
Well, it's that moment that every kid has where they just give it a try once just to see. Maybe I'm lucky. Maybe I'm the one who can fly.
Kind of just the pose with him there, and you can see Booster and John and Mary behind him, and it's just it's so funny. So all the Patridge art I feel is like top notch. Yeah. So it definitely affects the rating in a weird way.
It's just a shame that flashback is as extended as it is, and then the fact that Patridge isn't doing the art for and the fact that there's like a weird mistake where they've all changed to the civilian clothes, and it even like I didn't even think about the fact that you pointed out, which is that the very next scene has Superboy change into his civilian clothes in the scene is just wild. So all that drags it down a little bit, unfortunately, but. The high school stuff and like the endings, I think got good potential in it. So, what are you giving Action Comics 1098?
I'm gonna give this a tentative 7, mostly because of the art.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with the 7. I think if it was all as good as like the high school stuff and what the endings teasing, it would easily be an 8.5 or something like that. But the art and the extended flashback just has to drag it down a bit. Sadly. Barbara Gordon Breakout issue 1, Mariko Tamaki writing with Amancay Nahuelpan on the art.
Nailed it.
So this was set up in the last issue of Batman, that she had been nabbed by Vandal Savage's team, his cops. But this issue, as we expected, kind of set up that they wanted this to happen.
Yeah.
Or I should say Barbara wanted this to happen. Batman and Dick try and talk her out of it, as does Cass. But it's like, no, like we need someone to go in the inside and do this. I'm going to do this. So what she's doing here is basically Vandal Savage has been arresting anyone who's ever anyone who's prosecuted criminals from like when Jim Gordon was commissioner, anyone who did anything against his interests, or just been rounded up. They're being put into Supermax. And they're turning up dead, and they're being called suicides. But someone's found dead in a cell, and it's all these people who had done good things in the past. These innocent people are turning up dead. So Barbara is like, "Oh, I'm going in." So we get a lot of this explanation and debate with Batman and Dick and Cass, as like we see panels of her being like taken in, and like Savage on the news talking about how she's this awful corrupt. She's the commissioner's daughter, the ex-commissioner's daughter, and all the people who have like turned up dead. So the first half of this issue is a lot of like this all happening kind of simultaneously, and it's really well done. It flows really well, and you get this Jess. It's actually kind of an exciting start to like, oh, this is kind of a cool new status quo for Babs to be in. She's got this mission, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
I like how it fits in with what we read in Batman with her getting caught, because that moment's played like, oh, okay, we need to do something. and that's where she gives herself up. But here, it's like Babs took that, like, well, this is my moment, because she mentions that one of the people that were killed there worked with her dad and was the assistant district attorney, and was a good person. So they got sent in there by trumped up charges by Savage, and it was ruled a suicide. So also the fact, like, Babs can't condone these people that were doing good, you know, being left to defend for themselves. So someone's got to go in there and see what's up.
Yeah, and, you know, Batman points out, like, we have plans for what this prison is, but there, you know, Savage has been in power for a while. He might have changed things, and there's like no way to contact you or help you once you're inside. So it really sets up that she's on her own for the duration of this story inside. You know, and we get the classic tropes of her being in the prison yard and a fight breaks out and she intervenes and that kind of thing. And yeah, like obviously she's very capable. Like she's Barbara Gordon, so she fights off this villain who like tries to get involved, and like there's a bit, and it ends up being a character who was in Birds of Prey, right? Because we get like a big splash page of them fighting her in Birds of Prey, and she's like, "Hey, you look familiar, redhead," and it's like, you don't say. Who could I be? And
it was also where I remember Die From was in that Two-Face book. She was that weird character that thinks that Two-Face is her dad.
That's right.
Not Harvey Dent, just Two-Face. And then I was like, I don't remember her showing up in Birds. So the idea that Tamaki taking the concept of this new Birds team and be like, oh, this was an adventure we didn't see. Where she
that may very well be it. Because I don't necessarily remember a story with her either. But like that splash page is her and that Birds team from Thompson's run. So it was a fun call to that anyway. But no, like Babs looks pretty defiant, doesn't really care that like that Dai's like, hey, I'm going to kill you. Like you're going to be on your own at some point, and I'm coming after you. And it's like, oh yeah, bring it, like bring it. Like
it makes me love Babs so much because she's almost like, yeah, go ahead, try. I want you to.
Yeah,
go ahead. And then it's just like, oh my god, it's going to be a long time for Babs.
Yeah, so, you know, she's like, hey, you know, like, I kill people who piss me off. It's like, oh, looks like that's working out well for you. So, yeah, and we get more flashbacks, like her talking to Batman about how tough this is going to be. How it's a bad idea. He doesn't really think it's a good idea, but he accepts that she's making this choice, and he understands why she's making it, even though he thinks it's going to be risky and she's going to be on her own. Yeah, so we get Dai coming up to her in the prison cafeteria and like running her finger through her food. And be like, hey, is it true your dad's Jim Gordon? Is that true? You know, is that who Daddy is? And she's like, Daddy? I don't use that word.
Yeah. Oh god, I love that.
Oh dear. So yeah, she gets attacked by multiple people, and again, she starts kicking the shit out of everyone around her.
She hits a sweet chin music right here, like just it's a super kick party in the cafeteria.
Yeah, I like the touch of like you get a close up of her face, and it's like it's you know all the orange hair, and like her face is tinted pretty orange as well. But you've just got like the green reflection in her glasses, which is very Oracle. Like that's the Oracle color almost. Of like her punching one of the prisoners in the face. So she ends up with like a circle of bodies around her, and the guards come in and take her and say, hey, you're going to isolation. And it's like Dai's just on her back going, F you, guard, and Barbara's just looking over her shoulder saying, see you tomorrow.
Yep.
So very fun, enjoyable to see her just sort of like take care of herself and know what she's doing. She's thrown into isolation, and there's some narration like throughout the issue of her talking about how she's going to have to get into the male block of the prison to try and figure out like what's going on, and that means like finding a way to get there because there's a big fence between the male and female section of the yard and stuff. So it's setting up stuff for her to do while she's in here going forward.
All of the guards are corrupt cops that got fired under Gordon.
Yeah.
And Savage has brought them in to be the prison guards. So like she knows this guy that goes to take her to solitary.
Yeah, people
He's
who
like, I did. He put me behind bars a couple times ago.
Yeah, people who weren't suitable for actual law enforcement being hired by a corrupt person in charge. Oh, well, that seems
weird.
But the issue doesn't end with her looking concerned as a voice like speaks to her from off panel, just saying shush, and then the lights go off, and you just see her like narration box saying no. So I suspect that like maybe she is getting attacked in the dark. I don't know if this is hinting at a specific villain maybe that's coming after her here, but But obviously, the rest of this issue, she is like in almost no danger because she can take care of herself. It does make sense that at a certain point, for drama's sake, to like give her a challenge where, oh no, she actually is going to take a bit of a licking here and have to kind of be able to fight through it. Like, if she feels untouchable the entire time, it will feel a little bit too easy. So it makes sense that, oh no, there's going to be some actual conflict that puts her in danger. So that seems to be what the issue is ending on here.
I'm looking at all the words, right? That are like the words, like it's almost like the sound effects. As she's washing her hands, you have the tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
The scree, the shh. And it's like, I'm trying to wonder if it's going to be someone that we know.
I hope, because it's shh. I hope it's not shush, the hush daughter.
No,
I really hope it's not her.
At first I thought maybe onomatopoeia, right? But why would he be in the prison, right? Trying to hear. But then I just had a thought as we were talking about it. I'm like, what if it was Cass sneaking in to be like, I'm not letting you do this on your own, you know?
Oh, that's a different read on it, yeah.
And that's why the no, because she's like, what are you doing? I got this.
She looks worried at the end, though, so I don't think that's what the reveal is going to be, but I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. Actually, do you know what's so funny is that, you know, on that page before the last one, she's at the sink washing her hands. Like, if you take that top panel away and just look at the other three, but it's just her head, it looks like she's a guy taking a piss at a urinal.
Kind of. And
it's not a critique. I'm basically just making an observation that it almost looks like you're just sort of sighing. Because when you're peeing, you're like, and then you hear something. You're like,
hold it for a while.
Yeah, that's the expression she's got, and that's not what it's supposed to look like. I'm just reading. I'm just making a joke because it just looks like that to me. But that's the vibe of which her position is. But no, I like this first issue quite a bit. I like that Babs has this mission that feels very focused, and it feels like we were giving her something different to do. And everyone's going to, like, no one knows she's Batgirl, but everyone knows she's Gordon's daughter, and that's already going to create enough enemies for her anyway.
And the fact she's in there for helping Batman.
Yes,
I'm sure that's
true
not
as well.
Popular.
Yeah.
You know, and I just love her coming up against Di, right? So it's Gordon's daughter versus Two-Face's daughter, which I think, like, knowing what we know about Long Halloween and the friendship between...
Yeah. I mean, not Harvey. Really Two-Face's daughter, but yeah.
Yeah, and just what that means, and that they're both locked up in prison with one another, and just all of that type of meta storytelling I do love. But no, this was a lot of fun. Like, again, I didn't realize it was going to drop so soon. So getting it this week, I was like, oh man. And yeah, no, Babs is such a good character that she should have more solo books.
Absolutely, yeah. This was good stuff. And I think Nahuelpan's art was really solid as well. I think it's it's got a lot of detail, and I think, particularly, like, obviously all the stuff in Shadows when she's talking to Batman and stuff is all solid superhero looking stuff, but most of this book isn't going to be superhero looking stuff. It's going to be her in a prison suit in a prison. So it's good that all looks very expressive. I think Bab's hair, which, obviously because we're focusing on her most of the time, I think her hair looking good's kind of important actually. So whenever she's like kicking people and the hair's flying up, or she's like she's just standing there, but the hair's, then she's looking over her shoulder, so the hair's quite detailed. It just adds a lot of extra, I don't know, feeling to it. It doesn't feel too simplified, which is nice. So yeah, I mean, I think this was a very easy read, which I expected, because Tamaki books tend to be very easy reads. They tend to flow really, really well, and I think this is no exception to that. And very, very likable as a main character as well. So obviously we'll messy things up a little bit, but this issue was mainly just setting up why is she there, what is her goal, and her first kind of like the prison tropes of like people getting into fights with her in this first issue are all here to set up stuff. So good.
Yeah. If you had to put a character in a women's prison movie, it wouldn't have been Barbara Gordon. Tell you that much. Having this all play out.
Wait, who do you think, if you said there's going to be a premise here where someone has to go into a women's prison to, like, investigate stuff, who would the DC character be that you would spring to mind first? Oh,
easily Huntress, because she's not afraid to.
Oh yeah, I could. Yeah,
take, you know what I mean? For taking Bat Family. Also, Katana. I think Katana could work. Someone a little bit more brutal. That's really so. Seeing Babs be the bad prisoner, I think is very funny, right? Because she's a librarian and she's Batgirl, So it just has that edge. But yeah, I would never have paid putting Barbara Gordon in prison. But,
Huntress or Harley or someone who has got a bit more of an anti-hero kind of quality to them in some way. Yeah, I could see it.
And that's why Tamaki's so smart, because they're like, no, we're going to do Babs, and you're going to love it.
All right, Matt, what are you giving Barbara Gordon Breakout?
I'm going to go with a straight 8.
Yeah, I'm going to go 8.5. I'm going to give it the extra little nudge.
Yeah.
I had a good time. Love having a Babs book again. All right. Green Lantern Corps, issue 16, legacy number 119. Morgan Hampton writing with Juan, Jose Rip, and Will Conrad on the art. So, the Manhunters took over Aya's body the end of last issue, and they are using her body to upgrade the Manhunters. All the Manhunters look like her now. They all sort of like convert into Aya-looking robots. And the other Lanterns who were on the ship were kind of left, not for dead per se, but they're all kind of floating afterwards, and Guy's beating himself up over being responsible for this. But they all go back to Oa to talk to Jess and the others about what's happening here, and it's like, okay, the Manhunters want to find the entities and have them for themselves to wield the power of the Lanterns, because the Manhunters are all, or Aya Manhunter, whatever you want to call her, is like, hey, you know, these emotions have been controlling the entities. Enough of that. Like, we were the original police force to monitor the universe. We're going to do that now.
And the fact they want to suppress the emotion as well, because that's what they're about. You know, they're cold logic.
Yeah.
So the fact that they want to, you know, contain all of these to prevent them from becoming what they are. I kind of like that. The whole idea of these these androids trying to turn the universe into more like them. Yeah,
that's, you know, it's fine. It's a decent enough plot, and they're going after the orange entity this issue. That's kind of what the main goal is. Yeah, Effigy's got it on like the sun near Oa, so that's.
And Larfleeze is pissed. He's like, "That's mine." What?
What I like about it is when we actually cut to Effigy and he's like talking to the orange entity. The entity's like, you know, Larfleeze is great and all, but he's so greedy that he doesn't spread the selfishness. I want everyone to be selfish. That's like the purpose of me, not just one person. And I'm like, that feels weird. How can you spread selfishness? But sure, like, yeah, it's almost like
it's the spirit of capitalism.
Yeah, kinda. It's capitalism, yeah. But obviously, it's kind of self-defeating, because the whole idea is that a pure capitalist wants everything for themselves. So it inherently can't, you know, like, the end game is that one person is going to be at the top of the mountain over everyone else, right?
Well, and I like that puts Effigy at odds with Larfleeze, because we know how crazy Larfleeze is.
Yes.
I don't think he's going to stand if someone else has this entity in it, but I do like a video. It's like, yo, no, that dude's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't.
So they're like, hey, we've got two of the entities, right? We've got the yellow one, we've got the violet one. Not the violet, sorry, the indigo one.
The indigo.
And it's like, hey, maybe we could use them to give us a boost, since Aya's body like doesn't, like, you know, they can't really be affected by the Lantern constructs. And Sinestro's like, all right, you Indigo Lantern and me, we'll bond with their entities and we'll go. And then immediately someone's like, Sinestro. You know, I think it's Jessica who's like, I wouldn't be a very good core leader if I just let you have Parallax. So maybe just maybe we'll go with someone else. And then obviously they go to his daughter instead. So
I do like her using that as like, as corpse leader, I cannot allow Sinestro to have Parallax.
Yes, I just can't. It's a bad idea.
There's no way. Yep.
The worst idea.
Which I did love.
Possible.
They gave me a good chuckle. But yeah, going to Soranik, you know, I was like, okay, we saw what she was able to do in the last issue.
Well, I like
she'll have more control.
Yeah, I like that felt like a good setup for this then. Okay, that's why we introduced her with Parallax, and it's like, okay, so we're kind of using that. It feels like there's some thought going into what we're setting up and then paying off a little bit later. I do like that. That said, though, there's so many characters bouncing around in this book that there, you know, it maybe is a little bit overstuffed at points. So you know, I will say that as well. But they go out to the sun to try and, you know, take care of things. But the Manhunters are already there, and they fight Effigy. And basically their fight goes so extreme that it turns the sun into a black hole. And they're like, wait a minute. That's bad. What about Oa and like New Thanagar and all these planets that rely on the sun? And they're like, well, the black hole in theory has the same gravitational pull as the sun did. So that's how they're explaining why they're not just immediately going into chaos, but they are going to freeze because there's no sun now, right? So there is a problem. So the big thing at the end of the issue is that Guy decides to just go for it. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to fly into the black hole because I can still sense the entity. That means that it's still alive, and therefore, Effigy might still be alive, and Soranek and
yep.
the Indigo Lantern, whose name I can't remember.
Fatality. That's not Fatality. Her name, what is it now? Yira.
They might still be alive too, so I'm just going to go in. I'm blaming myself for this. I'm going to go in there as the whisperer to the entities, and they try and like stop him, but like, you know what? We're not going to let him go on his own. So Joe and that basically lasso a green construct around him, and he pulls them all in with them. So that's the cliffhanger: is that Guy, Joe, John, what we got? We got Larfleeze, we got Razor, and was it Helly?
Yep, Ellie.
Yeah. They're all getting into the black hole. What's in there? Who knows? Hopefully they'll find the Manhunters and the entities in there.
So I do like that this newfound like faith version of Guy, that he's the all-sight, but he's also doubting himself. But he's the one that's going to take the leap of faith, to go in there because he can feel them still because they've called out to him. And just Guy Gardner being that guy, I do like with that, that could lead for character development. So yeah, I want to give credit to Morgan Hampton for really driving Guy's character, because Guy's a character that can be just kind of in stasis a lot. So the fact that it starts with him feeling responsible for all of this, but then him being the one's like, no, I'm going in there. And, I know it's foolhardy because that's what Guy would do, but it's almost balanced by the fact that he's trying to make things better, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this book in many ways is, and I mean this in a positive sense. I don't want this is going to sound negative, but it's kind of just Green Lantern slop, right? What I mean by that is it's just a bunch of Green Lantern concepts that we've seen before mixed together, but we're advancing the characters a little bit. We're using this new version of like John's sister as a construct, and we're using this new status quo of Jessica being in charge and all this, and we're just kind of playing with stories in that playground. Nothing feels exceptional. Nothing feels like, this is going to be remembered as an important Green Lantern story or anything to that extent. So it's kind of just by the numbers Green Lantern in a lot of ways, but it's reasonable enough, well done. And I enjoy going through the beats with it. But it's always like one of the least good books that I read on the week that it comes out, just inherently because it's not special and it's not. It feels like it's a fine. If you want a little Green Lantern romp, it'll do the job, and that's about it.
Yeah. It's like the equivalent of a comic book comfort food, where it's like, yeah, look, I know like a whole heaping thing of mashed potatoes isn't necessarily good for me, but I feel good while I'm eating it, And that's how I feel with here. Is like, I feel like Morgan Hampton has a beat on all of the characters, so everything feels good, and we're getting a good story with it. But yeah, a lot of it is like, there's too many characters here, trying to balance all of them, and now you're introducing Effigy back into things. And now you have all these Manhunters that look like it's a lot.
Yeah, because that was the thing for me. It was like when they started talking about Effigy, and I was like, oh god, we're bringing another character out of this. Can we please stop adding characters? We have too many. So from a construct point of view, no pun intended, I do think that it's not the best, most well-crafted comic book series ever. And certainly, obviously, the book's had some issues with art's been all over the place because of multiple artists. It's kind of ironed that out a little bit. The art's not great. It's perfectly fine. It's just kind of doing the job.
It looks like a Green Lantern book. All the space stuff looks good. The big crowd shots are not too overwhelming. I quite like the what they did in the sun with what it does with like Effigy's using the fire and like it's playing with the brightness with the white light on all of that, and so. Yeah, but it's like, is it going to win Art of the Week? Probably not. But at least it's, it's
not
solid.
Even close. So I guess all I'm saying is I don't really have that much to say about it, right? Think about how much we talked about some of those other books already this week, and then this one's like, I'm kind of already done. We've recounted the plot. It's all right. There's a couple of amusing moments. I like checking in with these characters. But, it's not leaving that much of a lasting impression either. This is definitely one of those books where I have it takes me a page to be like, oh, that's what happened in the last issue, because I don't remember it that well before I read the next one.
Yeah, well, it's that, and then confusing it with what's ever going on in Green Lantern.
True.
And I have to remember that Green Lantern right now is Kyle and Odyssey, and then the backup with Hal, basically doing whatever they're doing, and this is literally everybody else.
Yeah. So Yeah, that's what it is. What are you giving Green Lantern Corps issue 16?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
I'm going to go 6.5. I might have given it the 7, but I did feel it being a bit overcrowded character-wise, so I'm going to go a little, just a touch harsher. But, very decent. Very decent. That's how I'd put it. Supergirl, issue 13. This is Sophie Campbell, both writing and art. And we have... what's the villain's name? I keep forgetting.
Evil Supergirl.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Purple hair. Black Flame or something like that.
Black Flame. Yeah, hold on. I got the page up. It is Black Flame.
Is it? Okay, I got it.
You
nice.
nailed it.
Damn it.
Yep.
Damn it. I should have doubted myself. But she's fighting the Thunder clones. Thunder Lad, Thunder Kid, Thunder Girl, whatever they're all called.
The Thunder Squad.
Right. And Supergirl's trying to help with her mech parts and whatnot, but she's not as strong as she was. She can't fly, and she's really struggling. But she sort of basically decides to try and go and find Leslie because they're possibly going after her, right? That's the whole thing, is that they may be going to kill her. What she doesn't know actually, as she goes off to do that, is that Black Flame actually seemingly kills at least 2 of the Thunder clones and maybe converts the third one to her side. Hard to tell.
Maybe.
Bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah. They made us care that they're cloning these kids. And then immediately got rid of them. So red shirted 2 of them.
Yeah.
And now the one that we're supposed to care about is the one that's in the.
It's the
she's trying to flip.
It's the Thunder Girl is the one that's the last one who might have flipped at the end. I will say though, her killing of the other Thunder ones is a little dark because she basically rips off their collars and a little bit of their spine comes out. That's actually pretty graphic for this book.
Yeah, they're really building the threat of Black Flame, and then especially once we get her origin, which I might have forgotten that she's Leslie's cousin. So they're playing with the idea of not, and it's not living up to her, but essentially Leslie has let Black Flame, I forget her actual name, being
overshadowed,
her.
Right? It's this because she talks about this isn't until we find Leslie and she talks to Supergirl, but she talks about how she's this dominant personality who always is larger than life, and I'm always just kind of in her shadow, and that's kind of how it's always been. I've always just kind of went along with whatever she said, and obviously that's not what Superman is, but Kara kind of relates a little bit and says, well, I know what it's like to be kind of overshadowed by your cousin. But yeah, there's a lot of Kara trying to get to Leslie and climbing and stuff, and the art there is quite fun actually because there's a lot of detail in all this sort of junk that she's climbing. And we have
there's that page in particular where you're following her down through. It reminded me there's this, I don't remember the name of it. There's this video game that you would play through a comic book, right? And you could jump up through the panels and do it. And as you would go through the levels, you get more powered up to. By the end, you become a superhero, but it very much reminded me of that game where you're following her down and she's bypass evade because she doesn't want to freak out the people, So yeah, all the motions there. I will say it's Campbell's really coming into their own here with all of this Kandor stuff, because all the stuff in Smallville that they drew beforehand was fine, but I really feel like this hits a lot better because of the cyberpunkiness of it all.
And then the other thing that happens is that Connor and Lena come into Kandor looking to see what's going on, and they encounter Black Flame, who's with Thunder Girl. So Thunder Girl's definitely not dead yet. Definitely did. She threw away her mask, but is she really going to commit to Black Flame's side? Who knows? However, Black Flame just thinks Connor's weird. It's your powers are lame. What is this telekinetic punch bollocks? What's going on here?
Yeah, I do she's what are you? He's the S, but you're not Superman. Are you Superboy or something? And I do like that Campbell throws in the don't call me Superboy, because that was the whole thing during Reign of the Superman. And since this is Reign of the Superboy.
Look, Connor Kent has 2 options, Superboy or Super Bitch. He can take his pick, but that's it. So
he goes, don't call me. Why not? I love that moment so much here. And then, the idea that they're using his tactile telekinesis, because in Kandor, he wouldn't have powers, right? So this at least, levels it up enough. Still doesn't help because he gets his ass whipped. But still.
Yeah. So when Supergirl finds Leslie, she's making these beings that are called grab and melt.
Yep.
Like she's created these beings under like Black Flame's orders, and Black Flame just calls them these weird like simplistic names. But so there are injuries in this. They get little flashbacks of like why Leslie's kind of under Black Flame's control and why she's surprised that Supergirl's come to try and save her, because like, hey, I keep turning on you, I keep being a bad friend, like why do you keep showing up to help me? So they're playing with this idea of like Supergirl still trying to kind of like convince her to be good. But Leslie ends up showing her something. Like she goes like, okay, we're going to go underground because Kandor, because it's a bottled city, they keep just building new stuff on top of the old stuff. So there's all these abandoned buildings and stuff underground. Mm-hmm. So they go down to one of these abandoned areas, and she's like, I found something down here. So hey, look at this. And the big reveal here at the end is that inside the bottled city of Kandor, underground, seemingly is the bottled city of Argo, which is Supergirl's home city, and that's the big reveal at the end, and she's all surprised, and like a big sort of like like a wormhole tube thing opens, like something to go inside to it basically. So they basically end with her walking into Argo City at the end. So what was funny about this to me is I was just thinking about like, wait a minute, so it's bottled inside of the bottled city. How tiny is this place relative to the real world at this point?
That's where I'm at. We're gonna see Ray Palmer popping around here.
Yeah.
Going through subatomic space.
Microscopic, yeah. So it's okay, but it's interesting, but I'm curious to see like what this leads to of her seeing Argo City. Is there anything in here? Is there still people from Argo City inside? I'm kind of hoping not. I think it'd be kind of weird to have Supergirl's parents be in here. So I feel like it's probably going to be more like either just some like desolate survivors or maybe a ghost town or something. I don't know, but we'll find out.
It's just a curious storytelling piece. Is like, why would the bottled city have a bottled city?
Yeah, like this is the first plot beat of this story where I'm like, okay, I need to see where Campbell's going with this, because I really don't know how I feel about the Argo City inside Kandor City stuff yet, but we'll see.
Because I got the Thunder Girl stuff. I really like where that's going, because it's the questioning of the Science Council. It created Thunder Girl. However, the Black Flame's almost giving her free will to do what she needs to do. So it's making her question everything. So I like all of that stuff. And then even here with Leslie, I was like, well, why do you I keep flipping on you? I'm not worthy of your trust. And Kara's Kara, right? She's still her cousin's cousin. So yeah, but that's not what it's about. It's about doing what's right. And so, and just the idea that she's making all that stuff out of her substance that she created in Smallville and all this other stuff, and how Black Flame doesn't want to give them fun names like Leslie does. Gives them like Grab and Shift and all these other, just straight into the point, non-creative names. I like that. And then we get Argo City in a bottle, and I'm just like, what are we doing? Yeah,
like her having created beings and then revealing Argo City is the weird parts to me. I do like the idea of there being underground areas because they just keep building on top of the old stuff. I think that's kind of interesting. I think it is a bit weird that Supergirl just ditches the fight to go find Leslie. That is a bit strange, although at the very least it does happen before Black Flame starts killing them. I think it would have been weird if like Supergirl saw them being killed and decided to still leave. That'd look really weird.
Deuces. Yeah.
I'm just going to peace out. I mean, they're just clones anyway, because I don't think that quite fits the character.
It's the girl, it's like a Gorman that goes, bye. And then I'm sure Kara is gonna feel super guilty about that, because the only reason Black Flame could kill the Thunder Kids was because of the bracelet that she stole, right? They give her the Kryptonian powers. So yeah, playing with the guilt, and maybe her going off to Argo also, like they're gonna need her at the most, and she's in exploring all of this type of stuff.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I think there's still some interesting things at play here and like where we're going, but I am very curious to see if this bottle within a bottle city is going to work for me. So we'll find out next time and see what to do with it. Hope there's a good reason for it. What are you giving Supergirl, Matt?
I'm going to give it a 7.5.
7, just a 7 for me, I think, on this one. I didn't like it as much as the last two issues. There's just enough weird things introduced in this one where I'm not sure how I feel about these yet. So it's making me, wait and see on some of it. But yeah, that is Supergirl 13. The Fury of Firestorm, issue 2. Jeff Lemire writing with Rafael de Latorre on the R. So we loved issue 1 of this. It was a genuine nice surprise. And issue 2 reins things in a little bit by giving us effectively the origin of Firestorm, which isn't a complaint, though, because Firestorm is the type of character that most of us probably haven't read an origin for. So it's actually very welcome in this case.
And it also, Ronnie Raymond's a character that I don't know much about, right? Like, most of my interaction with Ronnie Raymond came from the, what was that show on CW?
A Flash?
No, he was on Flash, and then he was on Legends of Tomorrow, right?
No, Ronnie wasn't, no.
Ronnie wasn't?
No, it was the second character who was Firestorm.
Okay. So Flash. Then Ronnie was Legends. On Flash. Then,
yeah,
right?
Ronnie was on Flash, and then I think he died.
Okay. So anyways, that's the most interaction I've had with Ronnie Raymond. So Lemire going through and giving him this origin of wanting to earn his dad's, like, not trust, but what is it? Like, he wants his dad to notice him. So he just keeps trying and trying. And that's how he ends up working for Stein. All because of that. Nothing's
ever good enough for his dad is kind of the thing. But I mean, before we even get to the plot details, like the way it's told, like the comparisons to Dr. Manhattan are going to be even thicker, because we brought that up last time, but in this time we get that whole thing where he's like, oh, you know, where am I? You know, I am here. He doesn't quite say it like Dr. Manhattan. He doesn't say like the date and time like Dr. Manhattan would,
right?
But it very much has that, like, I'm experiencing these 3 or 4 things at the same time kind of idea. Because we get him kind of holding his head, and he kind of breaks away into his past, and we get this idea of like this sentient Firestorm voice being a separate thing that just speaks in these one words, like talking about fusion and whatnot. But no, we get these flashbacks to him going for the job at Professor Stein's lab and being, you know, woefully underprepared for it. Doesn't really know what he's talking about. And it flashbacks further. Oh, and you go.
Yeah. The idea that this guy who's not that great at physics, like, we see that. He's got a C. To impress a girl, try to get a job as the the physicist's assistant. And when he tells him, I was like, all right, do this equation for me. And he just stares at it. It gave me such a laugh. And this is the type of stuff I expect from Lemire. Like, the really human, like, getting in there. And this kid is just like trying to prove himself to everybody. And Stein seeing that. And I was like, all right, you can work for me, but we got to get the math down for you, bud. So it just shows that, like, paternal influence that Stein has on him.
I mean, that's the thing, is that he thinks he's going to get kicked out and be told to, you know, go away, the job's not his. And Stein's like, no, I see potential in you. You do have to learn this shit, but like, I see potential in you. So it does this. It's this moment of kindness. It's something that his father seemingly has never really given him. So it sort of starts to bond off in a good place. But it flashes. We don't get to that part of it though until later, because it flashes back. We see him walking into like this day with Stein, and it flashes back to when he was a kid playing with JSA toys, and then when he was playing in his football game, but his dad wasn't in the crowd. Then he didn't, you know, get picked for team at college or whatever it is, and then it comes back to the day with Stein, and then that interaction plays out where he basically confesses that he has no idea what he's doing, and Stein's like, well, oh, so why are you even here? And he admits it's because of a girl, and he says who it is, and he's like, oh yeah, that girl's she's brilliant, she's a great student. All right, okay, well, you know, wait, you can still get the job if you want. I just have to like, you know, teach you how to do this shit. So it's like, okay, this starts off the friendship. There's a bit of a montage of like him working with Stein, him talking to the girl, you know, the friendship brewing, and then eventually, you know, Stein calling him to his lab in the late night, saying, "Hey, I need your help with something. I'm getting paranoid. People are, you know, trying to pry into my like experiments and what I'm up to." And ultimately, there's a bomb planted in the lab. And when Stein sees it, he tries to, like, you know, help, you know, shield Ronnie from it, and this obviously leads to them becoming Firestorm. And I love the page turn to like the evil, like, sentient Firestorm after that, where he's just in the black smoke, and it just looks like actual fire, and the glow from the fire is the only thing lighting him up. The art's gorgeous on that page.
and there's that void of a face that we're gonna see later.
Yes.
Set up right here, and just and it almost looks celestial because of all the embers. So you're almost like, well, this is larger than the universe type stuff here. And I also like that it's the Firestorm voice going fusion.
Yeah. Also,
right?
because all of the flashbacks were all in this muted blue color tone, all the orange and the red of the flames once we get to the explosion and then this Firestorm, because again it repeats the same words it did earlier, which is a division, reaction, fusion, and so now we have this Firestorm. And again, we get a bit more of like a history of Firestorm here, where he was working as a superhero. Stein's in his head saying, "Hey, transform this to water or something." To this is quite simple. But then again, reality breaks away. There's this big 2-page layout where like the face and the panel start to break away into the white, and Ronnie starts falling through the infinite, and he ends up in like the dark part of his mind with the sentient Firestorm, and he's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I am the Firestorm." And he's like, "No, I'm Firestorm, buddy." What are you talking about? Who are you?
Well, and the fact that it calls itself the Firestorm.
Yes, the Firestorm.
And he goes, "No, I'm Firestorm." He goes, "You are nothing." And then seemingly incinerates Ronnie.
Yes, in his head, and just turns to white, and then the next page is the panel close-up of Firestorm's eye pulling out, and he's still sitting there on that bench in this town where he's frozen everyone into a material, and he's like, "I am the Firestorm, I am the Fury." And we finally come back to the military, like watching all this from the outside of the town and being like, shit, like his face has disappeared, he's becoming less human. What about that woman? She's off to find Professor Stein. Can we even wait for her? Things are getting bad. So we don't actually follow up on her finding Stein. Obviously we got that tease at the end of last issue, and Stein clearly thinking that Firestorm's become sentient. But the ending of this issue is like, hey, this might be out of our hands now. Maybe they can do something about it. And the final page is a team from the Justice League have arrived in the town. So we got Supergirl, we got Flash, we got Kyle Rayner, Hawkgirl, and Martian Manhunter descending. So we got some big guns here to come and maybe see what's going on with Firestorm.
We're just missing a bat from having a classic type of lineup. Right? We got a Kryptonian, we got Manhunter, we got a Hawk.
I think it makes sense there's no bat though, because like what's a Batman going to do against the Firestorm? So
No, I know, but just like this is a league issue, right? This is not just like, oh, send someone to go talk to him. This is, we need a team.
Sure, yeah.
So
I mean it says something with when Hawkgirl's the weak link in terms of power levels, So yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense that if Firestorm did this to a town, why wouldn't the Justice League send out a response team? Like they'd have to come and investigate it. It makes total sense that they would.
On that page where Ronnie falls into the nothingness, I love the art touch that it's the panels that are making up Firestorm that are falling apart. They're alternating the different art styles, right? So it's that really flat Silver Agey style, right?
With the dots,
the more current one, and all of that, and so it's just like this amalgamation of the different things that falls away into nothing. And I was like, that was a page when I turned to it, I was like, wow,
I think
this looks real cool.
It's so effective because, like, I mean, the only frustration you could possibly have is like, oh, maybe you wanted a payoff to the ending to the first issue with going to find Stein. But I think it's so smart that the first issue set up what the situation is. It set up that, okay, Firestorm's done this to a town. And we have this new, I'm forgetting the girlfriend's or the ex-girlfriend's character's name, sorry. But she
Firehawk, I remember that much.
Firehawk, sure. She gets sent in to try and see what's going on, and we get the people in the hazmat suits and like everyone try to approach them, and it's very science fiction horror-esque. I like that this second issue is like, no, now we're going to set up the character of who Ronnie Raymond is and what Firestorm is and what's going on in the head of Firestorm. And then the Justice League showing up at the end is like a very different side of the whole thing, but you feel like, oh, this can all come together in like issues 3 and 4 where, maybe we follow up this next time, or maybe we start off with the Stein and the Firehawk stuff next time. But either way, they both feel like important parts of what's going on. So it feels like it's really fleshing out like what's going on. Because now we care about who's in there, as opposed to it just being this like faceless walking monster that's, doing all this bad stuff,
And through 2 issues, I've cared more about Ronnie Raymond as a character through those 2 issues. right, than I ever have, and it's a testament to Lemire storytelling. And it doesn't help that De La Torre's art as well is like phenomenal.
Yeah,
like, across the board.
If I had to pick a favorite of the two, I would pick issue 1 because I think the atmosphere is just that much stronger. But like, it's not because this one is that much weaker in any great sense. It's just a preference. Like this felt like it really added a lot to what's going on and further built this idea of this sentient Firestorm entity, separate from who Ronnie and Stein are. So
kind of it just ups the danger too, because it's like, if this thing is just like atomic energy given, human form, and doesn't have the humanity tying it down, you know what I mean? Like, what is it capable of?
For sure.
But yeah, just the whole "we are Firestorm," that whole thing that's repeated, right? Because it's Ronnie and Stein, and apparently this thing, and they didn't realize it the whole time. That this thing was also born when they fused. So
I'm excited to explore what that means about this being a sentient, like, Firestorm entity and like what we do with that. But no, the story so far is really great, and I'm excited to see how it plays out. I mean, if I have a critique, like, the art's great in this issue. The flashback inherently is like a different type of color scheme and tone, and it does work. But man, when we got to like the proper like scary Firestorm stuff again, I'm like, oh yeah, this is so good, this stuff. Like, it's like, by comparison, the flashback's a lot less visually stimulating, but it's by design. But at the same time, I'm like, when we got back to like the creepy town stuff at the end, I was like, oh, this is so good. This is why I thought the art was so good last time.
Which is that final page with the Justice League showing up, and there's like this fog in the air surrounding them. It just adds this whole atmosphere and texture. Yeah,
it feels like I was going to compare it to Silent Hill, but it's a bit more like ash from a volcano. Like, there's like a nuclear cloud almost, like a nuke's went off, and this is the aftermath kind of vibe. Really
and
good.
And with the past stuff, I want to give De La Torre credit though too, because it feels timeless, right? Because like, when is this supposed to be taking place? How long has he been Firestorm? Is this the 80s? Is this the 90s? It ultimately doesn't matter, because it's like any time, but I feel like the muted colors and a lot of the other decisions that they've made really help that, right? Because it's not like he's showing up to the class with an iPad or a laptop or whatever.
I mean, that's true. Although, and just ignoring this book for a second, in the greater like chronology of the DCU, like, we've established via those Titans miniseries a while ago that like the Titans had smartphones, so at the very least, like, I think the earliest it could be is actually in the 2010s now, just based on when the DCU is supposed to have taken place over. But that's just the timey-wimey of comics going on forever and having to constantly change the goalposts as we move. But you know what I mean.
But no, I definitely love that timeless feeling too. Like, complete with the people protesting the nuclear energy, right? Because that's when Ronnie goes into there, and why the bomb's there.
Yeah, because if anything, that makes you feel older, right? Because that feels like a 70s thing almost, or something like that.
Right. And so that's where I was like, but the art style makes it feel timeless. Like, it could be at any point in Firestorm from the 80s till now. And yeah. So that said, the dynamite that's stripped together to make the bomb definitely feels old timey.
Oh, that feels like a 1930s cartoon.
Yeah. Which is real funny. But this book is so good. Like, this is someone I've been telling people to read, especially after that first issue, and this only made me feel justified in it.
Yeah, no, this didn't drop the ball. As much as I liked issue 1 a little bit more, this didn't feel like a down stepper in any way. This was like just tackling a different aspect of it, so everything's a bit more fleshed out, and I'm excited to see where issue 3 goes now. So, Matt, what are you giving Fury of Firestorm issue 2?
I'm giving this a straight 9.
I find it hard to disagree with that. I am also going with the straight 9. So, awesome. All right, well, the Patreon vote for the month that ended at the end of April was for Zatanna issue 1. This came out 2 weeks ago. The week we did our top 50 10th anniversary special. So we're catching up on it this week. So this was the vote winner. This is Zatanna issue 1, Jamal Campbell doing both the writing and the art. So... is this technically part of Next Level? I guess it is. I don't see why it wouldn't be, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. It is new reader friendly too, so that's smart at least. So they tied to Next Level, making it a number 1. I did not feel lost.
Other than generally just knowing who Zatanna is, it's pretty reader friendly. It basically is her talking about how she's going to become the prime magus for
Magus.
Is it magus that I pronounce it? I guess that makes sense because it's magic. But
Mage, yeah.
So yeah, the prime magus. She's going to like sort of oversee magic in the universe because like the Legion protect the future, the Justice League protect the world. Other entities protect whatever else, but no one's protecting magic, so she's going to be that. So it says that for a couple pages, and then it becomes about her going after. She's like sneaking about in this elvish city, and she's going after this possessed elf who's like been overtaken by some kind of magical demon or whatever. And it's all about her just trying to like sort of expunge this demon. And I will say I did like the visuals of the demon because it had this kind of like almost like growth tumor head and then like sort of demonic hands. I kind of liked how the demon looked.
Very, very amorphous, right? It's just like a blob. Yeah. On top of the head. And then I realized that the sounds it was making, I was like, oh, that's the vocal scale. And then when we find out that this demon goes from like musicians and it infects them and then it spreads that way, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool.
Because Zatanna goes into the character's head, the possessed person's head, and finds them in a cage. And like, but when she goes to like get the person out of the cage in their head, like it sprouts wings and starts flying off, and Zatanna has to chase it. So it's a whole thing, and it becomes kind of this thing in the real world where Zatanna's what's her like weird cat pet thing? Allura. Allura tries to fight the sort of possessed demon in the outside world, and like there's a sniper from the DEO like saying should I take the shot, and it's like no, let Zatanna take care of it, kind of thing. So I will say the thing that I always dislike about reading a Zatanna book is all the backwards words. It annoys me to no end. I do not like having to read them.
And I'm gonna give Jamal Campbell credit for making it a different font in speech bubbles. Right, they're blue. The font's a little bit different. Not blue. They're pink in this one, and they're a little bit more bold than the regular one. So it makes it stick out, and so you can read it backwards a lot quicker than other Zatanna books that I've read, where it's just regular speech bubbles with the backward stuff, and it makes it a pain. That said, there's a lot. I hope in future issues, because I probably am going to stick with this.
Oh, really? Okay.
I enjoyed this issue enough.
Yeah, I thought it was okay, but I think all the reasons why I normally wouldn't like a Zatanna book are still here, so I don't really have that much interest in reading more. I liked the art, and I liked how monstrous the demon, if you want to call it that, looked, and that's cool.
Yeah, but knowing that, I hope that Campbell does a lot less of the backwards talk than in this first issue, because this is essentially Zatanna as the Sorcerer Supreme, right? Prime Magus, same kind of vibe. So her being the idea of a Doctor Strange going about the magical realms. And then the other character that showed up in here, we get the Upside Down Man, right? From Tynan's Justice League Dark. Almost as like a consultant with her in this massive realm, right? And we have someone that also looks like a bird entity too. And it's almost like the idea that magic comes in threes. So these are like a triumvirate of it. I'm very curious to see how that works. Because the last time we saw the Upside Down Man, it wasn't good. Right? This is a character that feeds on all sorts of bad things. And so to see the idea that Zatanna having to have like this alliance with it, I thought was very, very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not that enthusiastic about this stuff just because I'm not a big magic person generally. So to be honest, even this idea that she's like protecting an elf and this family are all elves, I was like, oh yeah, we're not just on Earth. Okay, it didn't quite click immediately until I started noticing more things. But you've got the DEO sniper sort of like surprised when Zatanna turns and sort of like winks at them like through the scope, and that's kind of a whole thing. She ends up in the helicopter and she's like, why are you here? And this character who's got like a weird face that kind of distorts and just has like a sort of black sort of like smudge with the white like X's on it, is like, Dr. Bones decided that we need to like have an eye on the magic world, right, in the supernatural sets of the world. So we're going to be a player here. So I appreciate that Jamal Campbell's setting up a recurring character that's going to be a part of the book, and that this is going to be an element of it as well, which is nice.
Agent Domains. Because we can't perceive his proper name, right? As he says, because it's like
Yes.
blacked out after Agent. So, and then I was like, oh, the DEO Bones, and then he brings up Director Bones and have the magic. So yeah, I do like that. There's the occult affairs wing of the DEO now.
Yeah, but the ending basically just teases, she's still doing all this stuff to like, basically, I'm going to go through all the magical realms. I'm going to protect everything and get magic in its right place. And it's like there's like basically a list of villains who are going to come up against her that it teases on the last page. I don't know if these are any specific villains that I'm supposed to recognize, because you only get like a shot of a mouth or like just like one eye or something like that.
He looks like when I read the first issue of the original, not the original, of the first one that Campbell did, the mini. That looked like the guy that showed up in there on the top. And then the one, the fourth one with Laura laying on, that looks like Raven to me. It has Raven's like the jingles on the wrist. It says a venomous shadow that seems a two shallow piece, which is weird. But yeah, it wasn't as bad. I was kind of dreading this because I did not enjoy that first issue last time, and I like Zatanna a lot. Yeah, but I feel like it's a I like her in certain doses, right?
This was better because I had more of a focused goal of her, try to like basically exorcise this possessed elf. And some of the wild visuals were all right. Ultimately, though, her winning by just saying, like getting the hat backwards and then stuffing it into her hat was a little anticlimactic. Oh, she just said something backwards and won. That was a bit whatever for me. But
well, she also she severed it right with the scissors. She severed it from the possession.
Sure, right. But like, so it's mostly a fight. It's mostly this weird supernatural fight she's having with this demon, and then the ending sets up kind of like what we're going to be doing for the book, which is perfectly fine. But I know I didn't want to read more of it when I got to this last page, saw what they were teasing, and went, nah, I'm good. Like, I don't really actually want to read any of this.
Yeah, for me, it was seeing the Upside Down Man come back, and then that's the idea of her as the Sorcerer Supreme, for lack of a better term, because Prime Mage just doesn't sound as cool. But I also can't use Sorcerer Supreme, right? It's DC. And her going around to these different realms and being like the protector of magic. I do like that concept. So if it's not on a crowded week, I'll probably read issue 2 when it drops.
Yeah,
just to see where it goes.
That's fair enough. It's better than that last Zatanna issue 1 we read, but like I still don't feel that enthusiastic about reading more. And to be fair, like I would just need like a very different thing from a Zatanna book to make it, make it work for me in a way that I'd be excited about. And I think that's fair enough. Like, I think I like her as a character who pops up, and I like her as a supporting character. I just don't think like the world of magic's one that I get excited about. Like, I like her more than Constantine, but ultimately I still find myself,
I could use her. The moment he shows up, if I'm still reading it, I'll probably be done. That's how much I don't like Constantine, and I don't like their dynamic. I just feel like stay away from her. That's how I feel when John shows up.
That's fair. But yeah, obviously Campbell's art is very good. It's very creative. He maybe does get a little bit busier at times, maybe a bit too busy, but otherwise it's a very nice, pleasant looking art style,
Yeah, because when it's not busy, like when she's staring down Agent Domains, right, and she's all in her get up with the top hat and the fishnets and everything looks right, like this is Zatanna, and it's all bathed in the red and all this, it lends itself to the shadows and the colors and all that. It looks great. But yeah, it can get too busy, like the stuff with the entity and all like the tendrils coming off of it.
Yeah, it's too many squiggly bits, getting all wavy. Like, there's a little bit too far with that sometimes, but by and large, it's very good art. Like, I can't really fault Campbell as an artist. So, all right, what are you giving Zatanna issue 1?
Yep. I'll give this a straight 8.
Just a 6 for me. It's perfectly fine. But nothing I'm excited about. So that's just kind of my gut feeling more than anything. So there you go, that's Zatanna issue 1. That'll take us on to the final part of the show, where we pick our favorite stuff of the week, favorite panel/moment, favorite cover, favorite art, and of course top 5 books. So Matt, starting off with your panel/moment of the week.
All right. There's a couple, man. There's a lot of stuff from Absolute Batman with Scarecrow. He just scares me. I don't want him occupying my brain, right? I did love the stuff in Action Comics with Mary and Clark in the bedroom. That was real funny. just her whole reactions to things. If I have to pick, I'll go with Absolute Martian Manhunter. And that last panel image of him on the ground with his wife Bridget, like cradling him, but everything that it led to, with them on their two separate journeys to being there in that moment, that really hit me. So that'll be mine.
All right. I think for me, it's tough. I do really like the opening of Absolute Batman this week, actually. I love that we're going down the stairs from the grandfather clocks, very classic Batman. Oh, but it's this demented Joker laughing at all of Batman's misfortune. I think that's a really good moment. Yeah, I think I'll go with that. But yeah, there's definitely some stuff in Absolute Martian Manhunter and maybe even Barbara Gordon Breakout that I could have maybe picked, but I'm going to go with that. So, very cool. For cover this week, there's some solid covers. I think the regular Absolute Martian Manhunter is good, as is the variant by Mick Del Mundo. I think that's really cool. I like the regular cover for Absolute Batman as well, with all the Robins and Batman standing in the foreground. It's a little bit misleading because really that's how the issue ends. It doesn't actually, you don't actually get that fight in that issue.
Yeah.
So you can maybe critique that a little bit if you like. But I think my pick though is probably going to be the main cover for Fury of Firestorm. It's just really simple. Okay. It's got a real mood to it, and it's doing the whole was it the Vitruvian Man? Is that what it's called?
Vitruvian Man.
But with Firestorm, which makes sense, and very Dr. Manhattan. Very cool.
And all the angles are making the Atom as well. Yeah. Right.
That's
whip around them.
Yeah, there's a couple of the Barbara Gordon Breakout covers that I thought I might pick until I clicked on them to see them big, and they're just not quite as good as I was hoping they were going to be. So that's it though. I do kind of like the Jorge Corona one just because it's the style of the Batgirls book, because he did a lot of the art on that. So it's nice to see him draw Babs again, even just for a cover. But what's your cover of the week?
All right, so there's another Absolute Martian Manhunter one that I liked, and it was the Dave Johnson variant. So it's playing with like angles. So like the title is all wavy, and then the Martian is like huge, and John's in like the bottom part of it, and it's a really cool image. I like that one.
Actually, I forgot to mention the Skylar Patridge variant for Supergirl is also quite good. Just putting that in the mix.
I might talk about that one in a minute.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you said you didn't like a lot of the Barbara Gordon Breakout ones.
Well,
I like the Yannick Paquette.
I wouldn't say dislike. I just like they weren't like. There's a couple that I thought maybe knockouts, and I clicked on them and went, "Oh no, they're just fine."
So I like this one because it's got everybody behind her looking like they want to pummel her, and she just has this smirk on her face, and then there's the shadow of the bat behind her. Like that's her shadow. That's not Bruce's shadow. So I like that one. That was good. You mentioned Fury of the Firestorm, but yeah, there's two Supergirl covers, and I'm having a hard time picking as we talk about them. But yeah, there's the Skylar Patridge. It's Kara holding up like this big like rock, right? And she's straining, and her eyes red, like when Kryptonians get mad. And then there's the Mateo Scalera one that from far away it looks really good, but I love the vibe of it, and it's Kara like on this rock with the moon behind her with Crypto and Streaky. And I like the vibe of it, but the art doesn't hit as hard as the Patridge one.
You like the concept?
So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Patridge.
Yeah, you like the concept of the cover, but the art just doesn't quite getting you there. Yeah, I get it. Fine choice. All right, art of the week.
So this is gonna be a shocker, all right? Because we got Absolute Batman, right? Dragotta looks great. We got Absolute Martian Manhunter, which is usually in the running, and it's great. Javier Rogriguez, all-timer. However, Rafael de Latorre for Firestorm this week, it really hit with all the flashback stuff, with the image of the Firestorm standing there after they've been blown up, all the stuff with the Justice League at the end, that last panel. It really hit for me this week, and that's mine.
Yeah, I mean, I think Breakout and Absolute Batman are great, but I think it's really between Absolute Martian Manhunter and Firestorm, and I think I'm going to agree and nudge it slightly towards Firestorm. And maybe it's just because it's a bit newer and exciting still.
Yeah.
Because Absolute Martian Manhunter is still firing on all cylinders. It's still fantastic from an art perspective, but I got to go with Firestorm this week as well. All right, top 5 books, Matt. On you go.
All right, number 1 is going to be Firestorm, and then not far behind it is Absolute Martian Manhunter, and then Absolute Batman, Barbara Gordon Breakout, and lastly is going to be, I gave that one that. I'll give it to Supergirl.
All right, slightly jumbled order here, but yeah, my top 3 are all 9 out of 10, so they're very close. But I think my number 1's going to be Absolute Batman. Number 2, I'll go Firestorm. 3, I'll go Absolute Martian Manhunter. And then we'll go 4, Barbara Gordon Breakout. And then 5... Oh, it's...
Yeah, the 5 spot's kind of tough.
Yeah, it is either Supergirl or Action. I think I'll lean towards Action because, well, they both have things that I like about them. You know, whether it be the flashback in Action or the weird kind of concepts at the end of Supergirl. I think I like the bits I like in Action a little bit more, so I'm going to go with Action as number 5. But yeah, very close though. So there you go. I will now tell you what's coming next week from DC Comics. We have Absolute Flash issue 15, Absolute Green Arrow issue 1. We have Nightwing 138. That's a hell of a cover on Nightwing, actually. We have
it is.
Batman Superman World's Finest 51, New Titans 35, Lobo issue 3, Wonder Woman 33, Batwoman issue 3, Deathstroke the Terminator issue 3, Superman Unlimited issue 13, Catwoman 87, Sirens Love Hearts issue 4, and End of Life issue 4. So yeah, a lot of books out next week. It's a healthy week for sure. And obviously we get that new Absolute miniseries to check out, which should be interesting. But obviously the big titles, as expected, are going to be, I think, Nightwing and Wonder Woman are probably the 2 that I'm most excited for. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But that will bring an end to the show. So thank you for joining us. Of course, you can support Comics From The Multiverse over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Help keep the show coming. It really does make it possible. You can get you get to vote once a month on the Patreon spec. You'll get access to the monthly classic reviews. We're just about to start Alan Moore's Swamp Thing Volume 1. All the issues of Batgirl Year 1 are already done, so they're all on Patreon to have a look at. Otherwise, though, check out the Mail Fuzz Movies YouTube channel and the various movie podcasts that are on there, all of which do have their own audio podcast feeds. There's a sci-fi movie podcast, a horror movie podcast, and on Collector's Cut, the other movie podcast, which has kind of like themes or seasons, we just started John Woo season, so we're doing like his Hong Kong movies. So if that sounds like something you want to hear me and David talk about, David, of course, has guested on a couple of episodes of this show. You can hear us talk about movies. And when the Supergirl movie comes out, it'll be me and David on that show doing a review of it. We're also going to do the original Supergirl movie the week before. So, and then last year we did all the Superman movies. Well, we did all the Christopher Reeve Superman movies and Returns, and then the new one. We didn't feel like doing some of the other ones that we could have done, perhaps, in between those. I
don't blame you.
Yeah, so that is go check out all that stuff if you'd like to hear some proper in-depth movie reviews. But yeah, that is the show, everyone. That has been Comics From The Multiverse. Thank you very much for joining us. We do appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.